Good morning, everybody. I almost did it today. As I clicked go live, I thought, no, now I need to go to a different tab, enable monetization, and click that before I do today's show. Well, I missed it. So if you're now watching us live at this moment and you're catching this particular part of the show without monetization, would you do me a favor and click that button? And it's not just an ad that plays, it's also an ad that will sit on your device. So if that ad is just displaying in the background of the show, that continues monetization. It's not always like I'm going to stop you for 3.5 minutes to tell you about my fancy skin hoodie. It's called a bearskin hoodie, but they're not paying me for product endorsements, so I don't want to get too far afield there. Although, how about it, bearskin? Nobody loves a good hoodie more than this guy. Nobody loves a hoodie more than this guy. I mean, I'm a hoodie connoisseur. I need zippers on both sides. I need sleeves that stay down and quickly come up and stay up. Problem with this is it's loose and sloppy. It just blah. So you just kind of float around with it. This needs to be, but it can't be tight, but it has to just be there. And if you quickly need to access your arms or something's going to splash back and you don't want to, doing dishes or something, like, I love a good hoodie. Love a good hoodie. But no, I'm not today. I'm not here today to tell you about a new sponsorship, although I need to go get some, huh? Let's go get some of those sponsorships, those lucrative sponsorships. I mean, that's the way we're going to do it. Steven Crowder has his mug club. By the way, I have mugs. Shoot me $40 on Venmo and I'll send one to you in the continental United States, including about $10 in shipping. Let me put that on the screen so you know how to send. It's just my name on Venmo at Brian Engelman. Where's it at? Scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Of course, as per every show, I need to click to edit theme and change it to bass from air. And then, of course, there's news. Then there's round. Can't really tell much of a difference, but I go with bass instead of air. Air looks terrible, doesn't it? I could change the font, but this is fine. We'll keep it. Now over to graphics. We're doing a tutorial. Ready? Oh, I didn't even do my intro. I guess to show you the graphics, I should do the intro. But yeah, we are crowdfunded. You people are awesome. We appreciate you. Rumble Rants, Super Chats, subscriptions on Patreon, as well as Rumble and YouTube. Certainly appreciated. I'm here as your bartender. We're going to talk about all the things on the television sets. I'm the bartender working. I'm working off of tips. I'm a busker. I open up my guitar case and I'm busking. I haven't even gotten to comments yet, but I saw that it was populated. I dropped a memo or two. I'll get to that in a second. I want to make sure we have everything pulled up properly today. Today's show was brought to you by the Cat Tax. Brought to you by the Cat Tax. You're ready to do something, and then, I need to attend to the cats. They need a little bit of attention. Thank you all for being here. Let's launch the program properly this time. Ready? Broadcasting to you live from the Orion Spiral Arm of the Milky Way Galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, somewhere out there. My name is Brian Engelman. Today is Tuesday, December 9th, 2025, and you are watching the TNAM Daily Show. What does that stand for? TNAM stands for the new American media, because the old American media failed you. They failed you by not giving you the who, what, where, when, why. They give you propaganda, slant, lies, deception, theft, piracy, danger, warfare, chaos, poison, manipulation, greed, division, hatred, violence, terror, brain damage. I'm not kidding when I say brain damage. There is more brain damage caused by the American legacy media, the dinosaur media, the lying legacy media. You don't call them mainstream. Don't you dare ever call those creeps mainstream. There's nothing mainstream about them. They're creeps. They know what they're doing. They know how they're whipping people up into a frenzy. They know what spells they're casting. So did they fail you? Yes, they failed you, but they succeeded at their demonic goal. So about 15 years ago, I said, yeah, I'm not okay with that. Journalism degree. It was my minor. But it's probably a minor. Question of the day, what's that from? So the old American media succeeded at doing the bad shit that was failing you if you were just trying to find out what's actually happening and let me form an opinion based on what's real. Well, you can't form a proper opinion if you're given faulty data points. As a psychology major, journalism minor, you study a lot about data points. You study double-blind, placebo, peer-reviewed surveys, studies, test, I don't know, what do you call it? Experimental testing and medication and treatment. And there's protocols, there's guidelines, there's barriers, barricades, guardrails is the word I was looking for. I'm flipping through my index cards. What's the swiping left? Nope. Ah, yes, zoom in. That's the one. And by the way, I'm not sure how many of you out there caught how clever it was that I went from flipping my Rolodex, going through index cards. Gen Z doesn't know what the hell I'm talking about. And I went to swiping left, swiping left. Yep, that's it. Now zooming in. That's what you love about this show. We got like that boomer Gen X energy and pragmatism, perspective, balance. But it also has the millennial, Gen Z, Gen Alpha meme culture, attention span, sensibility. Because you can look at the center of a wheel from many different spokes. I'm on the left. I'm on the right. I've said it all the time. It's a circle. So people will cross each other and find themselves. I'm trying to do this. This is not as easy to do as I thought it could be. Yeah, that's not bad. That's okay. I just need a pivot. There, now it's super easy. Almost. There we go. You could be on the right. Actually, this is mirrored, isn't it? On the political right, the political left. I mean, you can find yourself at the backside of crazy. Fascist, libertarian, anarcho-capitalist, anarchist. There's many perspectives that we need to understand in order to properly deal with the stories in the news, deal with the issues and the perspectives. So that's what we try to do here. We try to have fun with it. We try to bring you into the conversation. Where's the chat? Let's put our chat up on the board. Hello, regulars. Thanks for, yeah, we open the doors. The regular crowd shuffles in. For your beverage needs this Christmas season. I got the Unhappy Hour Sports Show coasters, $30 for a set of 4, thick, Ohio-made, wooden, laser etched. Look how nice these are. Big, thick. There's 4 of them. $30 or $30. You can get them circle-shaped or Ohio-shaped, or 2 for $50. That includes shipping. Then we have our pins. I need to, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to grab a graphic. I'm going to upload it. I'm just going to switch screens because the green screen gets weird with the shine on this and with the ring lights. Yeah, those are the pins, the unhappy hour. Check out yesterday's program. But yeah, if you want any of these or a mug, like I said, the mugs were $40 for this Christmas season. Just shoot a Venmo over with your address. Tell me what you want. We'll get these mailed out immediately, as soon as humanly possible. Check out yesterday's show. We did an episode of the Unhappy Hour. See, now that's one that I can just grab the logo to and pop it up. Whoops. That's one I can pop up on the screen, the Unhappy Hour Sports Show. We had Bob France. You know him from lots of interviews, from sports to politics for a lot of years. An important media voice. He joined us on our sports show. The first half was kind of talking about the state of the industry, politics, and just the nature of where we find ourselves. And then we got into sports, talking about Shedeur Sanders and the college football playoff, and should Notre Dame have been in the top 12. And so we did sports. Check out that show. But yeah, there's a lot of perspectives. It's like like he said that the damage done during the BLM years, where sports were weaponized against conservatives, against MAGA, against whites, against men, against pick your demographic. Very much so against conservatives, against MAGA, against white Americans, for sure. That propaganda was being pushed by the Obama administration, the Biden administration. Same thing. It's the same. The puppet masters are the same. But a lot of people were so turned off at sports. Like it's been hard to get back into it. Difficult, very difficult. Cleveland Indians, my favorite baseball team. I have a helmet over here somewhere. Oh, it's right there. They erased the team I grew up rooting for, the team I grew up watching, the team I had all the, let's go Tribe, Indians, yeah. In the aftermath of Minneapolis, right? They changed the name of the team. So there's been a lot of alienation that's been occurring through sports. So it's been tough. And there's really no way to unscramble the damage done because of how Obama politicized the NBA, how LeBron and ESPN, ABC, Disney weaponized sports. And really pushing an anti-white, anti-male. I keep saying male, but it's not in this case but it's anti-white, anti-MAGA message from the NBA, from Major League Baseball, from the NFL, and it sort of changed things for a lot of people, and a lot of people haven't wanted to go back. So we touched on that. But check out that interview. That's with Bob France. That's on all of our network channels. Hit like, hit subscribe, and follow him. He's going to be launching his new show. All those details are included in the program. Coming up today, I believe it's 5:00. We had to tweak the times. That's going to be strictly football here on the New American Media. Myself, Mike Barra, Jim Mitchell, Ezrael Robinson. I think the three of us have confirmed. We're waiting for one more person. I think we're going to go today at 5 p.m. Eastern. It's always a little fluid because people have lives. I know I tune in at 3:00 and I better be there at 3:00. By gum. Well, yeah, sometimes. And sometimes I start the show at 12:12 because I know Kenneth likes repeating numbers like that. No, I'm just kidding. Let's say hello to everybody in chat. Marion, hello. John, hello. Howdy. Let's see. Droopy Dog in the house, Lake Leon. Yeah, turn on monetization. Yep, you typed that, and you would think that I was going to do that. And as soon as I click live, I go, no, I was. So yeah, hit refresh if you're not getting the ads. And then just on your phone or on the computer, however you're watching, it'll just put ads up for stuff. It's not like it's going to constantly take you 3 minutes out for a commercial during a live show. It just puts an ad on your screen, which those are pennies in the wishing well. So, those help. Those definitely help. Because if I was watching a live show and trying to make jokes in real time, I wouldn't want to interrupt that with 3-minute ads. So they don't do that during live streams. It doesn't seem. They'll just put an ad on your screen. So hit refresh if you don't have them. You can let that ad play if you like. But yeah, we're definitely into growth mode. Really starting to do a deep dive into our analytics and figure out how to best monetize the program. I was talking about the hoodies and sponsors. There's a lot of things coming in the new year, a lot of new projects. So stay tuned for Strictly Football later today at 5 p.m. Eastern. I'm 99% certain that's going to be the case. If something weird is wonky with that, I will share a message out as a post on the YouTube channel. If we push it to Wednesday or Thursday instead, I will let you know on a post on our YouTube channel. Make sure you're following us in all the places. Let me put that up on the screen as well. The New American Media is on Instagram, Facebook, Truth Social, Rumble, Odyssey, Twitch, Kick, DLive, and Locals and YouTube. Search the New American Media and link up with us. We're on Telegram and Signal at TNAM and TNAM Chat. We're on X at American_Media_. And our podcast is the Agree to Disagree Show on Spotify and Apple. The Agree to Disagree Show is really encompassing the TNAM Daily Show. We've just kept it. The infrastructure was there. It's like, I mean, how many shows are we doing? The Unhappy Hour, Strictly Football, the Agree to Disagree Show, the TNAM Daily Show. There's several shows, but we're just calling it the Agree to Disagree Show on Spotify and Apple. That's the podcast. Because up until this year, I think it was this year we started doing the TNAM Daily Show. Roughly a year, something, pretty close to it. And it's been very interesting, the process of doing daily content this consistently. And then the special shows when we live stream sporting events and whatnot, our live reaction to it. But yes, please follow us in all of the places. So yes, Lake Leon, I meant to turn the monetization on, but I forgot. Hello, Danette. Welcome. Hello, who's this? Dr. Adelaide Warsim says on X, says Ilhan Omar's father committed the Isak genocide. Did you know that? I've heard TLDR story about Ilhan Omar's dad. Let's see what Grok says. Nur Omar Muhammad, an ethnic Somali colonel in the Somali National Army under dictator Siad Barre, fought in the 77 to 78 Ogaden War against Ethiopia. So this is a colonel in the army's daughter moves to America to conquer Minnesota. He fought in the 78 Ogaden War against Ethiopia and later worked as a teacher trainer. A moderate Sunni Muslim for the Majirteen clan. He raised 7 children, youngest daughter Ilhan. When Ilhan was 2, he passed away. As a civil war erupted, Nur fled with his family to Kenyan refugee camp for 4 grueling years, enduring poverty and segregation. 1995, they resettled as refugees in the U.S., first to New York, then Virginia, where young Ilhan faced bullying for her hijab and Somali roots. Finally, Minneapolis. There, Nur drove taxis and worked for the post office while instilling democratic values in his kids. This is a very flowery. Instilling democratic values. He even had teen Ilhan translate at caucus meetings. Emphasis on education, resilience, civic duty shaped Ilhan's path to becoming a congresswoman. Passed away from COVID in 2020 at 81. Oh, I'm sorry. Her Benadiri mother, Fadhuma Abukar Haji Hussein. Okay, so her mother passed away when Ilhan was just 2. I'm sorry, I skimmed. And the father passed away at 81 years old in 2020. Some critics allege Nur's military role tied him to atrocities like the Isak genocide in the 1980s, but fact checks find no direct evidence of war crimes, calling such claims unsubstantiated rumors. Now I'm going to specifically ask about the role in the Isak genocide. Colonel, during the collapse, 50 to 200,000 civilians through aerial bombings, mass executions, rape, village destruction, and forced displacement earned recognition as a genocide by the UN and human rights groups like Human Rights Watch. Critics say his senior rank, 10 years in the military, including post-war roles like teacher training and possible propaganda oversight, and membership in the regime-favored Darad Majertine clan placed him in command structure during the genocide's peak. They claim he likely had intimate knowledge and enabled planning and execution as colonels oversaw operations in affected areas like Hargeisa. This fueled the family's flight as refugees in 91, seen by some as retribution for regime ties, not neutral victimhood. Oh, God, they're calling fact checkers like Snopes, emphasizing no direct proof. Snopes is not a reliable source. Family lived in Mogadishu. Isn't that where they dragged U.S. soldiers around in Mogadishu through the streets? Okay, Omar's memoir portrays the father as the educator instilling Democrat values. Okay, so that, geez, Grok just lifted that from Omar's own propaganda piece. That's interesting. Debates on status. He served a genocidal regime at a high level during the events, implying complicity. But zero concrete evidence ties him to specific acts, making it a flashpoint for speculation rather than settled history. Omar has not publicly addressed these rumors directly. Huh. All right. Well, I did know that story, and I have heard that. So at least according to Grok, I was just literally reading to you whatever Grok has to say about that. So if you served in the 1930s in Germany as a high-ranking 10-year official, how much culpability do you have for what was happening out there when you're working in the office or you're teaching or you're part of it? You know, also, what is the alternative to working as a part of it? Getting destroyed by it? You know, and I think that's what they say about Soros. He talks about some of his greatest times were in that era, and it's just hard to imagine. But also put yourself in the middle of chaos. Like, what do? You didn't start that. How do you navigate it? So is it complicity? Is it culpability? I don't know. I mean, both are valid perspectives. I can understand in a similar way to abortion. It's like, yes, I know it's snuffing out life, and yes, I do recognize it should be a personal choice. It's that woman's body. But also it's not her body. It's also that belongs as much to the man who put it there as it is to her for holding on to it. But if they have the right to terminate a pregnancy, doesn't a man have the right to terminate child support? Yeah, like there are a lot of interesting perspectives on abortion, and I get where they're coming from. They make compelling, if not convincing, arguments. But that doesn't mean I change my core perspective. Let's try to have less of that. Try to have more American babies if we can. Protect life when we can. Once again, there's a lot of different perspectives approaching the spoke. So anyway, yeah, thank you for pointing me in that direction. I was aware of that story, and I guess that's where we stand. 10-year high-ranking official in the military, colonel, I think they said. Nothing specifically known to be linked to him. It's not like he was actually out there pulling the triggers, but he was greasing the gears that were running over the people. So, you know, do you say he's literally a genocidal maniac, or in some ways a victim of the times? It's kill or be killed. Like, what are you going to do? Or I don't know the circumstance either. Was he working and then things got crazy? And then you're just so far in. It's like, if you leave, they're going to take you out. Or maybe you were enjoying it because you hate the other side. I mean, the piousness of the Palestinian cause to just, oh, Israel, genocide. Oh, they're such genociders. Bro, you started a war by butchering 1,400 of them at a music festival. You're trying to genocide them from the river to the sea. Like, it's a kid that starts the fight on the playground, and he hit back. Teacher, they're hitting back. They're using self-defense somehow. Also, I understand the perspective. Israel has no right to be there. 1948, those were the Rothschilds. That was a bunch of, and they're not even secular Jews, or they're whatever they're saying. And it's bah, 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 bah. It just gets louder and louder and angry and anger. Get them out. Back to 1947. They don't belong here. They're not God's chosen people. Get them out. And we're going to be at constant warfare forever if they stay here. They have no right to exist. And I understand an Israeli going, bro, I got a right to exist. I'm 20 years old. I was born into a world where Israel's a country. Back the fuck off. Leave me alone. I wasn't there 70 years ago. What are you doing? Like, can we just get along today? Nope. Always war, jihad. Okay. I understand the perspectives. I don't necessarily agree with or buy into a lot of them. Just trying to navigate this place. I don't know. I didn't build this simulation. I'm just a character roaming around, trying to make sense of it. So anyway, thank you, Dr. Adelaide Warsame. Any more thoughts you have on this topic? I am open to discussing it and reading your comments. You're not a regular. Welcome to our bar. Pull up a chair. They're not saying I want to be sponsored for $3 a day. Yes, for just $3 a day, you too can fund independent journalism. Could buy a mug for $40. Send it to me on Venmo, along with your address, and I'll mail this out for the Christmas season. But sir, may I have some more for just $3 a day? You too can support an independent journalist that doesn't read propaganda brought to you by his sponsors. Nope. So that's a good thing. Dr. Adelaide Warsame, it's a much bigger story. I'm all ears. Are you following us on X, Dr. Adelaide Warsame? Tag us on X at American_media_. Let me share this tab with you, show you. Everybody stop what you're doing, create an X account, link up with us. That's us right here. Let's go to our profile. Whoop. Profile. Did I move this? What was that? Seeking truth, challenging dogma, and having fun. From sports to spirituality, comedy to Congress, freedom to firearms. Join the mostly civil conversation. So follow us here and then send us a message. Send us a direct message or something if you have more stories you want us to share. And I will grab some of those and put them on the show. Like Leon, A minor. Ain't that what Joe Biden likes? Uh-huh. Yo, yeah. It's like a whole thing, apparently. David, hello, everyone. David jumps in, making this an international program. Happy to have you from one of our brothers to the north under occupied goofball regime, stealing their civil liberties, trying to turn Canada into England. Come on, Canada. Grow a spine. Defend yourselves. You have God-given rights to self-defense, and they've disarmed you. Look what happened to Europe when they were disarmed. Don't allow that. We need you to be good, strong neighbors to the north and defend your country from the invasion that's been happening here. Kick out the leaders that hate you. Vote for people that want to restore your country, that want to protect your citizens, that don't want money laundering and the looting, the plundering of your nation. We share a border. We're in this together, so come on, level up. Rooting for you, Canada. We've had a lot of good times in Canada. A lot of good times. So, anyhow, thank you all for being here. We got a lot of news to unpack, so let's get to it right about now.
TPUSAmedia.com.
All right, everybody. Thank you for being here. Let's pull up our Instagram feed. Make sure you're following us on Instagram. We are the New American Media. All right. Well, this appears to be, I don't know if this is a skit or I don't know where this is coming from. A professor teaching students how to critically think and research and stop listening to the media. I think this is a pretty important moment here. Take a watch.
They got killed. Of 963, how many do you think were black?
600 will be black.
600.
And then like the rest will be like maybe Hispanic.
600 were black. What would you say?
Probably like 500.
Here we go. This is a thinking class right now. I'm walking you through some thinking. Okay, go to the next one. So how many of the 963 people were unarmed? How many do you think were unarmed? Here we go. Go to the next slide. So here are the numbers. You said 400 were unarmed. You said 500 were unarmed. What do you think about that number?
I'm actually kind of like shocked. I honestly thought like, I'm not saying like the media, like, I don't know, they just made it seem like, you know, the guy was innocent, you know, just crazy how 517 had a gun. I would think it would be less than that.
So 22 out of 233 black people who police killed in 2016 were unarmed. 22. So that means you have a 0.6 chance in a million of being unarmed, black skin, and killed by the police. If he stays unarmed, you say, bro, listen, in spite of how you're dressed, in spite of who you are, if you remain unarmed, right, that's the likelihood of you being killed by the police. If you're going to protest like that, but this whole thing is based on police violence.
There it is. What a doggone perfect flippin' segue. Sometimes there's a serendipitous moment that occurs, and I think this is one of them. See, here's the thing. Here's how the sausage is made. Either a show is very well crafted and produced, road mapped out, sketched out, tightly constrained, polished, revised, edited, revised, condensed, or it's off the cuff. Some version in between. I didn't really pre-plan discussing Bob France's conversation with myself on yesterday's episode of The Unhappy Hour. Go check it out and follow Bob on his new show endeavors that we discuss in the program. We said when they started taking a knee and misrepresenting the police and misrepresenting conservatives and misrepresenting MAGA and misrepresenting society in general and trying to make white people into bad guys, like, got sick of it. Imagine an active campaign pushed by a major political party like the Democrats did, the deep state Democrats, to push for riots all across the country based on bullshit data, lies and distorted propaganda from Kaepernick, LeBron, Major League Baseball. Here's on NFL football. This is the Baltimore Ravens, maybe? We're all going to take a knee and burn down the cities. That was not organic. That was not fair. And it was based on all sorts of cherry-picked propaganda pushed to elicit violence from the Obama cartel, the Obama-Biden cartel that were still out there the week of the Kamala Harris the week of that ass whooping of the lady who nobody voted for in a Democrat primary ever. 0 delegates in 2 years made her vice president for 4 years and the presidential nominee. Are you kidding me? That's your Democratic Party. While people really vote. Hillary and her super delegates. Get out of here. Your game is so rigged. taking a knee. Kamala was pushing the Minnesota Freedom Fund. Minnesota again. How interesting. And that's where George Floyd happened. That's where Tim Walz is. That's where the lawmaker was executed this past year. The guy in the mask pretending to be the cop. Because they had to vote to remove stolen benefits from people who don't deserve them. Minnesota. Taking a knee. Burning the country down. Going soft on crime and letting the violent crazies right back out to do it again. State-sanctioned violence from the Democrat domestic terrorists. Because they stopped being a political party. I don't know when it happened. I don't know exactly when the flip happened. Sometimes when you're in it, you go, well, when did World War II start? Okay, well, maybe you could say October 7th started this Palestinian attack on Israel. The war. All right, this version of it, you could say it started in 1948 and they will never stop fighting until they wipe them off the face of the earth in a genocide, but they're genociding us. Yeah, all genocide's bad. Can you just get along with your neighbors? As the world you woke up in. Yeah, but my grandfather. Yeah, well, my grandmother. How about as the people today? Can you get along, or do you always have to be trying to snuff each other out? I can't stand it. Don't make me pick a side between the Boston Red Sox and the New York Yankees. Palestinian, Israel, Jews, Muslims. Stop the violence. No, nobody has a right to coerce you into your political or, well, your spiritual faith. But yeah, taking a knee, bowing in submission to this mind virus, this woke mind virus, that white people are bad, that cops are bad. The concept of policing in general is bad. How fucking crazy do you have to be to think that incarcerating a rapist is bad? How out of your mind do you have to be to say, I don't mind if that schizophrenic, violent demon who raped a woman and slit her throat took her life. I am totally fine bringing that person into the bathroom at Home Depot, the restroom at Target when I go in there. No, I want them to spend time with my daughter, with my sister, with my girlfriend, with my wife, with my mother, with my grandmother. You do not want to expose the people that you care about to demons. So yes, you take the bad people, put them away, and guess what? 95% of the problems are going to stop because it's 95% of the problems being caused by 5% of the people. Grab them, remove them. Society heals. Life heals. Our nation thrives. Allowing a criminal element to operate in the shed. Like, how derelict do you have to be to say that policing is demonic or evil or racist or whatever goofball term you want to throw at the concept of, if you got a loose dog attacking things, you catch it and you put it in a cage or you put it out of its misery. Or both. You do not let it keep roaming around and biting things. But all of this was wrapped up in sports and Kaepernick. I couldn't get a job because I'm half black. Fuck are you talking about, dude? You got a half black president. Nobody cares. You're a football player. Win a championship. But he became old. He got slow. He wanted a massive mega contract, and he was benched for poor behavior for Blaine Gabbert. Not exactly Peyton Manning. But he turned it into a racist thing, and the Democrats, ABC, ESPN, Disney, and all of your race-baiting hoaxsters pushed this crap. So this teacher here, I don't know if this is a skit or an actual footage from a class. Either way, the message remains. You've been played to whip up anger and hatred because that would hurt President Trump in the upcoming election of 2020 during COVID. during the week of the election when Kamala got whooped, Barack Hussein Obama was still out there lying to the people who wanted to vote Democrat, saying that President Trump called Nazis fine people, still lying about the biggest political hoax, the biggest racial arsonist hoax in American political history, still repeating the completely disproven lie, because that's who Barack Hussein Obama is. And that's the gist of what we've been subjected to. Brain damage for the past 20 years. Him and his ilk have been poisoning us with lies. So yes, it ties into our conversation that we had with Bob France yesterday. Make sure you go check it out. The first half is kind of about, like I said, state of the media and politics and, the state of the world. And then we get into sports and have a good time. Some local stories, Shedeur Sanders. We talk about a lot of national stuff involving the NCAA as well. Check out that show. But yeah, in this clip right here, they're showing take a knee, bow in submission to us, you inferior whites, kiss our feet. I'm sorry, what wormhole did I enter? Is this a parallel universe? Am I being punked? This really happened. Taking a knee in solid. I will not sing the national anthem. I want to make this moment of unity about me and myself and my political lies. Based on statistical distortions, I am now in charge of your racist national anthem in this racist country because you evil white demons. Year after year from the Democrats, ABC, ESPN, Disney, Major League Baseball, National Basketball Association, National Football League. Fun. And then you wonder why sweethearts like Irina Zarutska get butchered by a black dude on a train in Charlotte. And he's muttering off, I got her. I got that white girl. I got that white girl. Demonize a group long enough. Wonder what happens. It's almost like you're using a dog whistle to violence. Yet that's what you claim the right is doing, which they're not. No, the dog whistles of illegal immigration invasion equally apply to the Chinese. Get the fuck out. It equally applies to the people who snuck in from Ukraine. Get the fuck out. It also equally applies to those from any nation on earth who didn't walk through the front door. We didn't have a chance to properly vet and find out, have you a criminal history that would make us not want to allow you inside the Target bathroom with nobody around to hear a scream? We've got every fucking right to block the bullshit and filter your water for known pathogens, known poisons. If you filter your water, you filter your nation. Anybody that you know that's a dirtbag, monster, sleazeball problem, get the fuck out. That applies to anybody who's not supposed to be here. Get the fuck out. But no, the lying legacy media likes to paint it very narrow. Donald Trump's an orange man and he's racist and he just doesn't like brown people. Fuck you with that bullshit framing. Fuck you lying, but he just doesn't like black and brown people and that represents all of MAGA. Fuck you. That's not what we're talking about here. This applies to anybody. Don't want Israelis sneaking in. Don't want Palestinians sneaking in. Don't want Canadians sneaking in. Don't want anyone. Don't want Russians sneaking in. There's how many wars going on right now? Russia, Ukraine. I don't want anyone from Russia or Ukraine sneaking in. Oh, no, it was a legal program. Oh, the legal program where you're propping up the razor wire and they're flooding through and nobody's checking anything and you're just scattering like cockroaches into the country. Sleeper cells, military-aged men, anchor babies. What do they call them? Chain migration. All the abuse of the children along that trail of tears. No, you have no moral high ground to lecture me. That system allowed an incalculable amount of human suffering. These trafficked humans, trafficked children, trafficked ladies and girls, how many do you think are still, right now, in bondage? Literal, figurative, indebted to the cartels that paid the price to get them here. A few $1,000, you owe us a few years of work. You know what happens if you cross the cartel. You can run, but we'll find you. Do you understand that even the nice people that have been smuggled into this country are potential liabilities, who owe the mob a favor, who owe the cartels a favor? And by the way, that doesn't expire. That's never done. That's like when they said, 51 former intelligence officials claim that the Hunter Biden laptop that proves all this collusion and corruption and bribery and criminality, blah, 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 blah. That just has all the classic earmarks of Russian propaganda, Russian misinformation and disinformation. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying it has all the classic earmarks of. So now that I said that in a letter, I want all of my pundits to then say all those things because, I'm so clever and smart. Bunch of fucking creeps. Misrepresenting and distorting everything. Everything. So yeah, at the cornerstone of who I am and what I'm trying to accomplish with the New American Media, what I'm trying to do on the TNAM Daily Show, I'm trying to understand how to think about these stories. How to think. I wouldn't even pretend to know how to be an expert per se. I'm just trying to think fairly about the topics. So yeah, these sports leagues, they weaponized to hurt Trump. And since Trump voters are about 60, 70% of this country, yeah, clean up the voter rolls already and find out what happens. Watch what happens. Weaponized a strong majority in this country for political gain. Consequences be damned. Collateral damage be damned. Because the Democrats don't have support. People don't like them. What is their track record? Destruction. They don't fix things. Everything woke turns to shit. Don't confuse the word respect with woke. You can have respect without being woke, because woke is weaponized. And this whole coordinated campaign, taking a knee, bowing in submission, I'm going to take a moment of unity, trying to bring our nation together. Look, we've come here today to this arena to watch two gladiators battle it out. Now, while they battle it out, let's remember, take a step back. We're all united. We're all united with the American flag. We're all united under this country. We're all brothers and sisters. Oh, say can. Nope, I'm taking a knee. Fuck that. Fuck this country. Fuck the white people. Those damn cops. They're butchering all of us. I can't walk outside. I'm going to be unarmed and get shot. Fuck this place. That's what they did year after year. And it's not fair, because sports is one of the best things on earth. Unhealthy competition can get really dark. It can become very toxic very quick. But healthy competition, discipline, coordination, work ethic, adaptability, ability to be coached, teamwork. Sports is where it's at. That is the training ground for successful humans, successful Americans. And to weaponize sports and turn it into something that it's just unwatchable, it's unfair. It's unfair. So of course we take it personal with Obama and ABC, ESPN, Disney, and LeBron and Kaepernick and Nike and the Democrat Party and the lying legacy media, all of it. We've got a right to be upset, unfairly chastised, unfairly targeted, maligned, slandered, smeared. That's who these Democrats are, the domestic terrorist deep state Democrat Party. It's all connected. It's all connected. I didn't quite realize I had this much to vent on this topic, but I have, because I've been the sports guy. Hey, by the way, if you want any coasters, they're $30 a set of 4 Ohio-made wooden coasters. The Unhappy Hour Sports Show and our pins, $25. Shoot me a Venmo. It's at the bottom of the screen. It's my name, Brian Engelman, and I'll mail these out to you in the continental United States. But I do a sports show, the Unhappy Hour Sports Show. I'm the sports guy. Let me tell you. Really fucked up the world of sports, and I resent it. I had a lot to say, and it you know, I went hard in the paint. I've called the Unhappy Hour the anti-ESPN, because ESPN went so woke. It was vomitous, really. It was vomitous. Anyway, let me read your comments real quick, and I'll continue this segment and start moving along. But this hits home for me, because I just resent how much you've been lied to. And if you're not listening to the TNAM Daily Show, and if you're not seeing how to think, maybe going along with false narratives, God knows what you think is accurate. God knows what you think was accurate. All right, let's go through the comments. Danette says, oh my God, they have 1 year to turn in their guns. Yeah. Defend your freedom, Canada. Freedom is a First Amendment and a Second Amendment. Adopt those two and go from there. Nationwide, demand a First Amendment and a Second Amendment right now. Right now, correct that. It's the only chance you got. David says the United States is Canada's spine at the moment, and there are too many brainwashed people in Canada. You put parentheses around people. Too many brainwashed people in Canada. David reminds us people were paid to be violent. Oh, they still are, by the way. User here says, I gave up watching sports, and you missed 70s football. It says user. I don't know. Are you new here? What brought you today? And what's your name, where you're watching from, and who's your favorite football team? With the, what is that, an animal? What is that animal? I can't, is it a dog? A cat? It's a little animal. David reminds us all sports are fixed anyways, so you're missing nothing. Well, maybe, but we still discuss it on Strictly Football. Jim Mitchell gives us our betting trends sheet on Strictly Football. So we talk about, well, betting trends if people want to participate in the gambling world. I really don't. I play fantasy football, but I don't really gamble. But it does make it a little bit more fun sometimes. Some people say. But yeah, is it rigged? I mean, it feels rigged. User says, I like your way of thinking. Well, I like that you like my way of thinking. Thank you. David says things were so much better with football back in the 70s and 80s. Tougher and stronger-willed men played the game at those times. David, who's your favorite player? 70s, 80s. Yeah, I was a Browns fan. So I like the Cleveland Browns of that era. Blame Canada. Blame Canada. I'm not your pal, guy. I'm not your guy, buddy. I'm not your buddy, pal. Lake Leanne grew up watching Roger Staubach. Nice. Yeah, good coaching from the Landrys there. Landry. These days, so many players are like paper dolls and injuries come quickly. Yeah, still a lot of just, whether it's Daniel Jones blowing out his Achilles or Nick Chubb having his knee blown out. There's plenty of real injuries too, though. I mean, injuries are the toughest part of football, the worst part of football. It's a great sport, but you know, trying to take a violent game and reduce the life-threatening and career-ending injuries for sure. David says Canada up here is a criminal empire for these demons. User grew up watching Terry Bradshaw. Oh yeah, Cleveland Browns threw Terry Bradshaw upside down on his head once. David, those were the good old days of the NFL, and music that went with it was even better. What am I thinking of? NBA. I think that's John Tesh in the NBA one. What's the NFL song? Danette says they're actually more in debt to the employers they work for. Oh, there you go. One place you worked paid the coyotes. The guy would pay the boss out of his check to pay back the travel coyote fees and pay rent. Oh my God. It was indentured servitude. You're damn right it is. Not to even mention the atrocities of people being chained up in basements and warehouses right now. Right now. This is what the Democrats did. They flooded 40 million illegal alien invaders into this country, pre-positioned as sleeper cells, just waiting for the orders to go bonkers. Are you ready? When the internet goes out, are you ready when the power goes out? Are you ready when communications are down? When the water doesn't turn on? When there's an EMP blast? When there's a dirty bomb? Are you ready? Are you ready to defend your family, your city, your state, and your nation? Are you ready? Because it feels like they are. Pre-positioned and just waiting. Bursts of violence here and there. It just, you can't hold it all back because criminals are going to criminal. Maybe all just waiting to get the text message on the coordinated proper date and time on their Obama phones. Boop. Oh, it's go time. Let's go. All the sleeper cells activate. It's a free-for-all to conquer America. Maybe everybody can get a piece. Maybe the Chinese can try to grab Texas, and maybe the Somalis can grab Minneapolis and Ohio, because they're all over Columbus. Islamists can take over New York. Wherever. Free for all. Go. Redraw the map. I'm just very uncomfortable with where we've allowed our nation to drift to. David says the human trafficking must stop. Danette, if they divide what unites us, they win. I don't know what unites us anymore. Those lies. Diversity is our strength. I felt like I was rolling into a Tucker impression. Oh, diversity is our strength. I didn't go high enough on that laugh. I'm working on it. I think I have a great Tucker in my back pocket, but I haven't tried him enough, so I don't know how to do it yet. Whereas the Bobby Kennedy, when I've had a little bit of time to sort of figure out the nuances of how to Bobby the Kennedy. User, it was distracting while shit was going on. All is planned. Does the mug change colors? Well, it is black and white and red all over. Just like the old newspapers. What's black and white and red all over? Wow, that's a newspaper, sonny boy. Get yourself a T&M cup. I'm actually out of coffee. Let me get some more. David says, you know my thoughts. It's time to pull the plug on everything. I know, David. I know. Simmer down. You'll know when it's time. It's not time yet. Hold. It's like from every Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter, whatever it is. Hold. And they're approaching the Patriot or Braveheart. Hold now. So just hold, David. Hold. There are things that need the plug pulled on it, but you don't need to destroy everything. And that's the difference. Republicans, conservatives, MAGA, libertarians, they're builders. Democrats, they're destroyers. They tear down statues and they erase team names and they money launder and They steal. They flood the country with criminals. They install soft-on-crime people in the blue cities so that the residents remain terrorized instead of protected. Just keep the crazy, violent people away. It's pretty straightforward. What? Did I ever watch Casey the Car Guy? Hold on. User, are you a regular? Do I know you? Trying to figure out. It just says user TT4XL8. Kind of curious. Danette says, I'll just stop participating. I'm canceling my TV subscriptions. Yeah. Oh, okay. It's a cat. Is it a cat? It looks like the Bowling Green cat, kind of. Have you seen Bowling Green's cat? Google it. It's pretty cool. David only has internet and canceled TV and other things a long time ago. A Persian cat. All right, there you go. Hello, William. What's up? David says, I try not to feed the Satanist machine as much as possible. I think he's talking about television and media subscriptions. It's a hard question. Too many fantastic players. Danette moved to the water for a reason. Well, yeah. Buckle up. Buckle up. Every generation has their moment. That was Braveheart. Yeah, I mean, it's like all these movies. I know I played the scene from Game of Thrones where Jon Snow goes out there and he grabs his scabbard, or he grabs the hilt of his sword and he drops it. He's like, this is it. They're all charging at him, and he winds up. And then all of his people come run into his defense and hit before he's annihilated. It's a great scene. Great scene. All right, let's get back to the point she's making.
Violence against black and brown people. So if you're going to protest, really step out in this way. You got to know what you're protesting. Is it a genocide? So when I see someone holding a sign up that says, stop the genocide of black people at a protest, and I'm saying, I wouldn't call that a genocide. There's a lot happening here, but that's not what I would call it. It's really important that we know what we're talking about so that we can be confident.
I'm just so happy there's a professor out there teaching people how to critically think and research. It's really refreshing to see this.
The people that got killed.
Yeah, whatever this is. Thanks for doing it. This is what I was exactly talking about. The UK had their Second Amendment right. I know it's not called the Second Amendment, but every human has a Second Amendment right to defend yourself against a monster. You don't have a right to go be violent against peaceful people. No, nobody has that right. 0 people have the right to be violent against peaceful people. 0 people. Every human has the right to have weapons, a Second Amendment right to defend themselves and their family and their loved ones, their city, their state against enemies, both foreign and domestic. UK gave up those rights. They laid over and took it. They bent over, grabbed their ankles, and they took it. And now they can't defend themselves. And now here's what they're being told by this creep Starmer who doesn't like them. Some probably installed, I don't know, what would you even call it? A babysitter, a globalist tyrant? I mean, surely not a representative of the people of that nation, but here he goes.
And that is why today I am announcing this government will make a new free of charge digital ID.
Free of charge. Yeah, the only cost is your soul.
Mandatory for the right to work.
The right to work. You must take the mark of the beast if you wish to earn a living. Fuck you. Now, I do understand the sorry I'm so animated today. I don't answer to anyone, and I don't particularly care. Some days I get feistier and I'll reach it to the back of the 128 Crayola crayon colors for the fancy schmancy cussing words. But I sort of try not to. But what I'm getting at is that I understand the flip side. Is that if we only want qualified people to vote in our nation's elections, we have to verify that they are who they say they are. But these digital IDs, that's where you're done. That's where you're toast. That's where your entire online footprint. We saw how Obama, Biden, wink, wink, weaponized every department in government to go after MAGA, go after whites, go after Republicans, go after MAGA, conservatives, Christians. Yeah, I took offense at a lot of that because it was essentially me on almost every level. Wonder what type of backlash you should expect when you try to demonize every aspect of another person's existence who's causing no problems to anybody else, but definitely being messed with by you and yours. It's interesting, isn't it? So yeah, I mean, we need to make sure that we are only allowing validated citizens to vote. Otherwise, these 40 million illegal alien invaders, I mean, could that swing an election? Yeah. Well, no, there's no way they can vote. Oh, really? You heard in Minnesota that they were giving out free driver's license, and you heard that it's illegal in California to ask for somebody's identification. And you've heard about waste, fraud, and abuse from every corner of Doge for how many months? But you're supposed to trust? Nah, I'm good. If it seems sketchy, it could be sketchy. But yeah, digital ID, super sketchy. Keir Starmer, UK.
By the end of this Parliament, let me spell that out. You will not be able to work in the United Kingdom if you do not have digital ID. It's as simple as that. I am announcing.
Time to institute a global First and Second Amendment to protect our speech and our persons against all tyrants. Also, digital ID will be the end of freedom. Resist that with everything you have. Peacefully, of course. There we go. That's what I typed. Dangerous times we're entering. So here's a couple of differences between the United States and the UK. In the US, we call them fries. In the UK, they call them chips. In the US, we call it an airplane. In Great Britain, they say it's an aeroplane. We have a subway. They have the underground. We have a meme, and they have a felony. A felony for memes, for jokes, for words. You got the right to be offensive. Not in the UK, you don't. People are being kidnapped and thrown, caged, imprisoned, enslaved for unlikable words, unlikable thoughts. Not violence. Oh, well, something you did caused distress, isn't it? People, please wake up to this. This guy, I've been watching his music, and he was doing this piece. And so, what's he say? Mark Twain? Mark Twain. Poem? Is this a poem about Mark Twain, or is this a poem of Mark Twain's? I don't recall, but here you go.
There's never been a just war.
Jesse Wells. He says there's never been a just war.
All wars are fought over lies. There's never been a nation that didn't think itself is chosen by God. Pride of race, lust for conquest, hatred of nonconformists, those are the forces that make war possible. A loud handful of men will cry out for war, and the pulpit will cautiously endorse it. Timid men will follow, the nation will go along, and the next war will be easier. Statesmen will invent cheap lies. They'll blame the country that they're attacking. The men will be glad for those conscience-soothing falsities. There's never been a just war. All wars are fought over lies. There's never been a just war.
Well, we find ourselves entrenched in one. I'm telling you, this is a soft war. It is raging actively, whether you choose to see it or not. It's here. And I urge you all to be as prepared as possible. You can follow our group, TNAM Preparedness. I don't advertise Facebook much because it's a piece of shit site and a piece of shit company. I do like sharing these. This is Instagram. Yeah, I know Meta, it's sort of the overarching. But yeah, we have a group, TNAM Preparedness. I want all of us to be as prepared as possible. Anyway, Ahmed here says federal agents are not taking any crap from these leftist idiots. Watch this video here.
Because it's illegal.
Do you guys have a warrant for this vehicle?
We have probable cause to stop the vehicle.
What's the probable cause of the
We ran
vehicle?
the plate.
What's wrong with the
We
plate?
determined that the person inside the vehicle was illegal.
How did you guys determine that running plates?
Ma'am, you can take the vehicle. I'm not proceeding to answer your questions.
Okay, that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine. But you guys don't have the right to take him.
We absolutely do. Look at the law.
Do you have an ID or something so we can let you take her?
You don't need my ID.
No? So how do I know you're the person?
Her name is Rebecca Sanchez. And you can't speak to her, she's underage. Where are you guys transporting him? Where are you guys transporting him?
You're unreasonable. You don't listen.
I
You think you know the law better than we do. You don't.
Okay,
So until
you guys
you
are
start
being.
being
Look at this.
disrespectful
I'm not being disrespectful with you. You guys are taking our father. You have to understand the frustration that you guys have right now. That we have right.
Because it's illegal.
Do you guys have a warrant for this vehicle?
We have probable cause to stop the vehicle. We
What's
ran
the
plate.
probable cause of the
We ran
vehicle?
the plate.
What's wrong with the
We
plate?
determined that the person inside the vehicle was illegal.
How did you guys determine that running plates?
Ma'am, you can take the vehicle. I'm not proceeding to answer your questions.
Okay, that's perfect.
You know, for people that are in this country that are not citizens, it would be a very good idea to use the CBP Home app. And I am in favor of if there are people who are working and don't have a criminal background and they're staying out of trouble, if they raise their hand and go, hey, I'm here, probably don't have all the papers you need, I would like to work and I'm not causing anyone any problems. You run a check on them, you know, put them on the radar, have them check in once a month, once a week, once a day, once a year. I don't know whatever you want to do. Put them on the radar, identify them, give them a purple card. That's not a citizenship card, but it's just, you know, someone that raised their hand and said, all right, well, hey, there's probably a lot of good people who are working here and staying out of trouble, but there's so many problem people mixed in that you have to identify all of it. So if there's a way to improve what we're doing with our immigration system, I'm here to listen. But you're damn right it needs to happen. Everyone needs to be vetted, just like you would at a college. Just like hopefully, you know, any lady out at the nightclub or at the bar or something doesn't open her legs and let everybody inside of her. You don't do that as a nation. You do not let everybody inside of you. It is the worst idea I've ever heard. Yeah, well, you know, it's like not fair that they don't get to be inside. Yeah, well, that's like not my problem, man. You know? I think it's a very appropriate, if not disgusting, analogy. All right, this is pretty good. I would like to end the show on this, but I'm just going to do it now because it's pretty great. Alex DeWitt comedy. Oh, I'm not following him? I'll follow him now. Here's Tucker Carlson on the Diddy documentary.
Breaking news, the new Diddy documentary has been released on Netflix, produced by Buff Daddy himself, Mr. 50 Cent.
Buff Daddy himself, Mr. 50 Cent.
A lot of people think I'm not a Diddy supporter. I used to like Diddy quite a bit, actually. I used to dance along to his songs all the time. I like that music video where he falls off the motorcycle. Sean, you're so silly. Believe it or not, I was at Biggie's debut album release party in New York City back in the 90s. I danced with some sisters all night. Then Tupac shoved a gun in my mouth. What do you think happened to him? In breaking news, the new Diddy documentary has been released on Netflix.
So that's a pretty doggone good Tucker. And by the way, Deb has been pulling on me to do a Tucker for a while, so I'm gonna work on mine. I promise you.
How do you?
Former military behavior expert. Yep, former military. Maybe there is no such thing as former intelligence official. Former Marine. Former military behavior expert Chase Hughes. Here's how to spot a psyop. I guess today's program is all about holding the media accountable and calling out their bullshit.
Know if you're in the middle of a psychological operation?
I would just assume 24/7 that we are. But let's go into the details. But
what are the signs that something is a psychological operation specifically?
So narrative sticking points. So matching narrative is number one. A matching narrative means that I'm hearing pretty much the same messaging from media outlets, celebrity influencers, which is number two, and authority. So people that are in a position of social authority, not like cops and lawyers, and judges, but people in social authority, like pop singers. And I won't say any names. Pop singers, the most popular pop singers, all saying the same shit on social media. That should terrify you to the deepest part of your core, that none of this is real, or none of this is what it seems like. And those are the first two. Number three is if you're seeing people silenced or ostracized for disagreeing with an idea.
Yeah.
We saw this during the pandemic, like crazy. There were Harvard educated medical doctors that were kicked off of social media, which is our greatest fear of human beings, is being ostracized socially. Mm-hmm. It's greater than death. This is why public speaking is rated higher by almost everybody than death. And it's not public speaking that we're afraid of. It's being out there and having a big idea and then getting rejected by a large crowd. That's what terrifies human beings. And you can leverage the shit out of that, especially when you can manufacture an artificial tribe on social media. So Harvard educated doctors that disagreed with this mainstream narrative were getting banned. And the dude, I can't remember his name. I wish I could, but the dude who invented mRNA vaccines was on there and went against the narrative and got ostracized. The dude who invented this kind of vaccine, it's unbelievable. So like, and that step three, just remember in your mind that if an idea requires suppression to exist, it's a horrible idea, and it's most likely a psyop.
There you go.
Good ideas don't need to suppress other people.
Well said.
Good ideas travel on their own. Good ideas spread on their own. It doesn't need suppression by itself. So those three are some of the big ones. And
how do you know if you're in the middle of a psychological operation?
I would just assume 24/7 that we are. But
that's smart. Just assume all of this is in operation. Oh, music. I didn't want music. This is a new one. This is shared today, but I feel like I've covered this before. Maybe this is the update to it. President Trump says Mexico continues to violate our comprehensive water treaty, and this violation is seriously hurting our beautiful Texas crops and livestock. So yeah, we got neighbors to the north and neighbors to the south. Like, why aren't we getting along better? We need to get along. Like, we don't have to like it. It's like family. You know, provided it's not super abusive or something. in which case, yeah, you gotta distance yourself if you're being tortured or abused or something. But you don't pick your family. We didn't pick Canada and Mexico. Like, it's just these are the countries at our borders. As long as our nation is our nation, that's always going to be the country to our south and north. It says Mexico still owes the U.S. over 800,000 acre feet. Now that's a measurement I'm not super familiar with, but 800,000 acre feet of water owed to the U.S. for failing to comply with our treaty over the past 5 years. Where's it at? The U.S. needs Mexico to release 200,000 acre feet of water before December 31st, and the rest must come soon after. As of now, Mexico is not responding, and it is very unfair to our U.S. farmers who deserve this much-needed water. That is why I've authorized documentation to impose a 5% tariff on Mexico if this water isn't released immediately. The longer Mexico takes to release the water, the more that our farmers are hurt. Mexico has an obligation to fix this now. Thank you for your attention to this matter. It just feels so different having somebody fight to protect this country instead of whatever Obama Biden were doing to destroy this country. All right, let's make the switch over to our X tab. Hit like, hit subscribe. Make sure that you're following us. Share the show with a friend, especially if you're new here. Link up with us on the various platforms. Here's your reminder that we do have Rumble Rants. It's on Rumble. It's like you press the button, you link up the account, and boom, shoot $5, $10, $20, $50 or something into the Rumble Rant. And that's super fantastic and awesome. We also have Super Chats on YouTube. Way to toss something in the tip jar. If anyone is feeling kind this Christmas season, it's all appreciated. And it all goes to the overhead of this program. So thank you so much. All right. Right here on our X feed, this is our link to the Patreon page. That's another way you can subscribe to the New American Media. Our mug club, if you will. Thank you to all of our paid members, and thank you to all of our free members. Should these social media sites go backward and bonkers and ballistic again, we're still going to broadcast on Patreon. You can find us there. It's a private platform that they can't quite touch. That's why we've joined so many different platforms. Okay? So you can at least sign up for the free version of our Patreon feed, or you could sign up for the $10 a month version, $100 a month version, $1,000 a month version. I don't know. There's a lot of people out there with more money than time, with a lot more money than willingness to stand up and deal with the shit I got to deal with. So, we help each other that way. And that Patreon link at the top of our X feed is a great way to do so. There's our John B. Wells interview talking about the God, Trump, Biden, the deep state, and World War III. Check that one out. All right, let's see what's going on in the world of X. Amuse says, this is Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson telling the court that presidents should not be able to fire the PhDs and experts who run the government? Huh? She even argued the presidents should avoid control over transportation and the economy? In a remarkable exchange in Trump v. Slaughter, Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson claimed the president should have no power to fire expert bureaucrats. She said economists, PhD scientists, and transportation officials should operate beyond presidential reach. Such a view would carve the heart out of Article 2 and cement rule by permanent insiders rather than elected leadership. Jackson's theory elevates the deep state over to the voters who choose a president. This is a constitutional revolution in plain sight. Take a listen.
Some issues, some matters, some areas should be handled in this way by nonpartisan experts. That Congress is saying that expertise matters with respect to aspects of the economy and transportation and the various independent agencies that we have. So having a president come in and fire all the scientists and the doctors and the economists and the PhDs and replacing them with loyalists and people who don't know anything is actually not in the best interest of the citizens of the United States. These issues should not be in presidential control. So can you speak to me about the danger of allowing in these various areas the president to actually control the Transportation Board and potentially the Federal Reserve and all these other independent agencies? In these particular areas, we would like to have independence.
Ooh, the Federal Reserve, the true rulers of America. She said it out loud.
Allowing in these various areas the president to actually control the Transportation Board and potentially the Federal Reserve and all these other independent agencies.
Ooh, that's
in these particular areas, we would like to have
big scared.
Federal Reserve and all these other independent agencies. In these particular areas, we would like to have independence. We don't want the president controlling. I guess what I don't understand from your overarching argument.
You don't want the president controlling if it changes your system of corruption and control? Huh.
Is why that determination of Congress, which makes perfect sense given its duty to protect the people of the United States, why that is subjugated to a concern about the president not being able to control everything. I mean, I appreciate there's a conflict between the two, but one would think under our constitutional design, given the history of the monarchy and the concerns that the framers had about a president controlling everything, that in the clash between those two, Congress's view.
She's an overactor, but in the clash.
That in the clash between those.
In the clash. It's very performative.
That the framers had about a president controlling everything, that in the clash between those two, Congress's view that we should be able to have independence with respect to certain issues should take precedence.
Elon said that KBJ is openly advocating for the destruction of democracy. Check in with Tim Pool. This isn't cool.
So where does that leave us?
Let me give you the backstory. Well, it doesn't say it here, but they've been attacked repeatedly. And their place was just shot up, is the story.
We have 2 weeks left in the year before we go on our Christmas hiatus. You know, I'm not a big fan of any kind of hiatus. I would prefer just to work. But it is taxing, it is grueling, of course. And there's a lot of infrastructure here that requires me to work all day, every day, Monday to Friday, with some extra work on the weekends, usually meetings. And I'm probably going to have a stroke. My health's actually pretty good. My blood pressure is great. My resting heart rate is actually around 45. I exercise quite a bit. Haven't been able to skate in the past month or two, the holidays, and But we have to have these conversations, and I have been with the people, our contractors, people we work with, our vendors, partners. And one thing is clear: the violence will get worse. It is going to escalate. We cannot keep going as status quo. Something has to change. It may be that, as we described after the assassination of Charlie Kirk and the threat to come and shoot up our studio and our workplace, we asked, at what point do we say we can't do this anymore? The cost of running Timcast IRL Studio and the projects around it exceeds the amount of money it brings in. That's just that breaking point, isn't it, for any business? If you need $100 to, run your restaurant, but you're only bringing 90, you go out of business. The issue? The cost isn't cameras or lights. The cost is security because of the escalation. It's an artificial cost to doing business that we can't balance. We can't forego security, but we can't sustain it either. So I've had some conversations with our partners, been talking with Rumble. There may be a solution, and it's going to be rapid change very quickly. We're going to have some emergency meetings. We've already had emergency meetings for obvious reasons. And there is a possibility that the 19th is the last episode of Timcast IRL. We are doing everything we can to make sure that's not going to be the case. It's no secret that I've been frustrated and disillusioned with a lot of people in politics, but that's no reason to walk away from doing our nightly show with a tremendous success. But the cost is not just money anymore. The cost is the safety of my family, myself, and there are many ideas we're floating around.
So, this is the violence of the deep state Democrats again. I don't want to hear whataboutism. I don't want, the Republican. No, I don't want it. I went to a church and they tried whataboutism after Charlie Kirk, and I called the pastor directly and I said, "You just lost yourself a customer." I'm like, "You had a chance to talk about standing up and you caved, dude." He's like, "You got to understand, there's a lot of people in this city that, they align that way politically, and I can't alienate them." I'm like, "You have no spine. You've sold your soul for money." I should have told him, "Enjoy your 40 pieces of silver, pal." But I took the time to call him and let him know. He didn't seem to care, so I didn't push it. So keep your eyes peeled on Tim Pool. The violence is escalating. And it's stupid. What is this? Danette saying, look up his last podcast. He said someone called him and told him to not talk about something. I think it was Candace, and he spoke about the call. And then he got shots. Huh. Man, does it seem like TPUSA is like the center of something really dark right now. I don't quite get it. All right, Chief Engineer. Do not resuscitate the visa renewal path. Hire and train Americans. America trains registered nurses in under 3 years, preparing them to save lives on day one. If our healthcare system can train lifesavers that quickly, then Amazon can train an American for a tech job in the same time. Every H-1B renewal proves the job was never temporary. It's a choice to bypass American workers and not a necessity. Do not resuscitate the visa renewal path. Hire and train Americans. I like that. Share that. We put it out on our X feed. This is interesting, and then the reaction to it is interesting. Let's start with unusual whales. CEO of NVIDIA says, well, I'll pull out the main point after. I'll play the whole clip first.
And more of knowledge in the world will be generated synthetically going forward. Until now, the knowledge that we have are knowledge that we generate and we propagate and we send to each other and we amplify it and we add to it and we modify it, we change it. In the future, in a couple of years, maybe 2 or 3 years, 90% of the world's knowledge will likely be generated by AI.
That's crazy.
I know, but it's just fine.
But it's just fine.
I know. And the reason for that is this. Let me tell you why.
Okay.
It's because what difference does it make to me that I'm learning from a textbook that was generated by a bunch of people I didn't know, or written by a book that, from somebody I don't know, to knowledge generated by AI computers that are assimilating all of this and resynthesizing things? To me, I don't think there's a whole lot of difference. We still have to fact check it. We still have to make sure that it's, based on fundamental first principles, and we still have to do all of that, just like we do today, and more.
So the quote was, in the future, maybe 2 or 3 years, 90% of the world's knowledge will likely be generated by AI. That's wild, isn't it? The comment above it says, Ewan Morrison is the person here. Says, cheese salesman says, in the future, maybe 2 or 3 years, 90% of the world's diet will likely be cheese. That's a good way to put it. You know, when people are going and doing these podcasts, these are promotional junkets. Maybe the late night television show of yesteryear to get your project off the ground and to promote your company. Maybe stuff like that was done on, I don't know, how far back do you go? Johnny Carson or something. Definitely for movies and television. Maybe not so much for CEOs. CEOs feels like a mostly, well, no, there was some of that. There was definitely some of that. And even Donald Trump before he was Donald Trump, before he was President Trump, for sure. You know, he was a media personality, a mogul, a businessman personality. Whether it's Richard Branson, I guess people are always interested in titans of finance. But it sort of feels like the podcast realm is more specifically keyed in. You know, you get Elon going on, and it's like he's doing soft product rollouts, which is fine. I mean, but like it's also like promoting your company, and it's like a shareholders meeting or like a big, I don't know, part of your yearly media blitz. Getting the message out, lobbying. But yeah, cheese salesman says in the future, maybe 2 or 3 years, 90% of the world's diet will likely be cheese. Hello, Kenneth. Johnny Carsick? No, not Carsick. Carson. Wax on, wax off. Batya Unger Sargon says, from the annals of It Can Now Be Said, New York Times is reporting that Zelensky's inner circle laundered over $100 million. Kiev rewrote company charters to limit oversight, keeping the government in control and allowing hundreds of millions of dollars to be spent without outsiders poking around. Your hard-earned taxpayer dollars lining the pockets of Ukrainian elites. But anyone who pointed this out over the last 3 years was called a Putin puppet. It's time to end this war and the grift, says Batya Unger Sargon. Rosie Memo says, if you're wondering what's happening in Hollywood, South Park nailed it 3 years ago. That was before Trey and Matt became exactly what they used to make fun of. I want to play this for you, but I have a hunch that South Park is one of the places that usually results in a copyright strike if I play it. But he's just talking about how different streaming services are going to get steamrolled into one, and they just keep creating shitty products, and the company you worked for buys your company, and then you're out of a job, and it becomes 1 or 2 or 3 companies that are putting out the same garbage, and nothing's good. Watch the clip. I want to play it, but I just can't. James Wood says, I can't figure out why this lying, hypocritical grifter named Gavin Newsom was campaigning like the 2028 election was next week. Then I realized he has left such a mess to clean up, it will take 3 years to do it. If you have Newsom fatigue already, imagine 3 more years of this weasel. No thanks. I do not want to imagine 3 more years of this weasel. He's part of the reason I fled California. True story. Sakin Jose says the Christmas tree lighting has returned to Bethlehem, the birthplace of Jesus Christ of Nazareth. For the first time in 3 years since the Gaza war. Christmas tree is a light. And there's music that I probably shouldn't play because good to see the Christmas tree lit up. Christmas trees are cool, by the way. They're one of the coolest things out there. Everybody can enjoy a good Christmas tree. I mean, name me something more iconic than walking into the living room at night with just the Christmas lights on. It's like a spectacular, glistening sight to behold. It really is nice. So many great moments under the Christmas tree. That whole special month of December and January. Not happy with South Park because they were always killing me off, says Kenneth. Oh no, you killed Kenneth! You bastards! All right, touche. Well played, Mr. Kenneth. Well played, Mr. Kenneth. It's the Christmas tree in Bethlehem. All right, so let's take a listen here. What is this? This is here's a report on Somali scammers.
I'll ask again, where did Ilhan Omar get all that darn money from? Let's go through it. When she first ran for Congress in 2018, she was married to a Somalian man named Ahmed Nur Said Elmi, and she had a net worth of approximately $65,000. Not a ton of money, but $65,000. By 2020, a whole 2 years later, Ilhan had already divorced and remarried another Somalian man by the name of Ahmed Aladizian Herzi, and her net worth was still right around $65,000. Yet just 4 years later, she was divorced and remarried again for a third or perhaps a fourth time. We don't know for sure because Ilhan Omar likely married her brother at one point to get him into this country illegally when she came here from Somalia, which, by the way, is a federal crime, and she's serving in Congress. And nobody talks about this. So by 2024, Ilhan's married to a new person, a white guy named Tim. There's Tim Minette. And Tim is not a rich man, but now he is. Tim's rich now because somehow over the course of the last 3 years, Ilhan Omar's net worth has skyrocketed to over $30 million and counting, meaning she went from having right around $65,000 to $30 million in 3 years. Think about that. Powerball drawing is tonight. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Ilhan Omar did not win the lottery. Bernie Madoff was cheating, and he still wasn't doing that well. That is a 46,000% increase in less than 3 years. Now, how do you suppose that happened? Do you really expect us all to believe that she just played the stock market like she's got a great investor and they just got kind of lucky over the course of the Biden presidency? And why are we the only ones asking these questions tonight? So once again, where did Ilhan Omar get all that money? And why is she trying to make Americans feel bad for Somalian criminals?
Yeah, why? Why are we supposed to feel bad for all that? Why in the world is that? Hello, Deb. Talking about howdy-ho. Deb. Howdy-ho. If you know, you know. And I would love to find out, did Ilhan Omar actually marry her brother or not?
I'll ask again, where did Ilhan Omar...
Been accused so many times. And how many divorces? Like these are all just to get people in? That's the insinuation? I don't know. Hey, let's check on Tyler Robinson. I'm sorry, what? Milo's asking, how does Grok know that Tyler Robinson is going to die? Huh. Well, that's weird. Swiss cheese aside. I don't know what this is from. They said he asked Grok and someone's sharing that. Okay. Yeah, you got Nick Fuentes on Steven Crowder, Nick Fuentes with Pierce Morgan. You got Candace Owens, Ian Carroll. Well, we're already here. Let's just take a listen.
A lot of controversy floating around that, and people often say that you blame the Jews for everything. Do you believe the Jews killed Charlie Kirk? That's one of the conspiracies out there right now. What's your position on that?
I don't believe that. As it stands right now, I think it was Tyler Robinson.
Yeah. Nick, pay attention out here, bro. You think that a 30-06 hit a neck vertebrae and turned at a 90-degree angle and then continued at full velocity and shattered a bunch of neck vertebrae below it and then possibly went down into his heart and stopped his heart? You think that they just paved over the crime scene 2 days later on a Sunday just by happenstance? You think that there was a bunch of foreign military planes on the ground that day doing weird flight stuff just by chance? You think that Charlie Kirk literally tweeting to his Jewish and Zionist donors that he needs to leave the pro-Israel cause is not relevant? And that him texting to his friends the day before this happened that he was afraid they were going to kill him is not relevant? That Bibi Netanyahu offering him an enormous sum of money that he turned down is not relevant? Like, you're supposed to be our guy, bro. This is your moment. This is your moment on so many levels, dude. Where are you? You're on Steven Crowder disavowing the people that are actually out here taking on Israel, taking on the deep state, taking on the whole thing. And you're over here with Crowder. And to be clear, I'm not saying that Nick is the same as Rabbi Shmuley, and I'm just saying, how are you winding up at the conclusion of these guys? With all that you know, with all that you've called out, with your deep understanding of how Jewish donors control things, with your deep understanding of the history of Mossad and of the CIA, you don't even think there's a possibility? Not even a chance. And I know that you've got beef with Candace and that you just don't like Candace. And I know that Candace has beef with you. And it's like, I know it's a lot for her to be doing really well right now on her podcast, despite all the hardship that is involved in that. But like, that is not why, like, that's not a reason. That's not what's going on here. Like, what is going on here,
Milking it. It's been like 3 months, and every show is, this changes everything. You're not going to want to.
If you were murdered, I would not stop until I figured out who the fuck did it. And I don't even know you. I've never met you. But if you were murdered today, especially if there were suspicious circumstances, especially if you had just texted your Jewish Zionist donors, which I know you don't have, but you know, if the situation were reversed and you had been murdered, I would not stop investigating that until we figured it out and proved this issue is the exact example of why your point, specifically your point, that it's not just the Israeli government, it is also American Zionists, American Jewish Zionists, and this network that they have built inside of America on behalf of this foreign state, because that's what TPUSA is exactly. If there's any moment in time when America has a direct, obvious example of what you have been championing for years, it's right now with Turning Point USA. And suddenly everyone else is gone. Like, everyone else has gone off to fight it. And you are not there. So it's weird.
A lot of what's going on now is just kind of following the breadcrumbs of these stories, trying to figure out what's real here. And Nick is definitely doing a media blitz right now. He's sort of everywhere. He's on Tucker, on Pierce Morgan, on Steven Crowder. I mean, he's going on all the shows. He's the it guy. I said that's exactly what's going to happen. You took Charlie Kirk off the board. Now you're going to get Milo Yiannopoulos. You're going to get Nick Fuentes. We're on a new timeline. Do you think it's weird that Nick is sort of going along with the official story? Question of the day. Do you agree or disagree with Ian Carroll that it's weird that Nick is saying he thinks it was Tyler Robinson? Agree or disagree with Ian Carroll from that clip? All right, who's this lady? Representative Frederica Wilson, Democrat of Florida.
Now Republicans are saying,
ooh, look at that voice. Now Republicans are saying.
Now Republicans are saying.
Now Republicans are saying.
Now Republicans are saying, we're going to ask schools to be sure to post.
We're going to ask schools.
Ask schools to.
We're going to ask schools.
We're going to ask schools to be sure.
We're going to ask schools.
We're going to ask schools to be sure to post the 10 Commandments on every school classroom wall and post a crucifix on every classroom wall. And now what is more anti-Semitic than that?
Wow. What is more anti-Semitic than displaying the 10 Commandments in public schools? Wow. 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 The mustache man was that Ian Carroll. Looks like Fonzie meets Borat. Equals handsome. Kenneth suggests I should start. What's your point, USA? Instead of Turning Point, USA. What's your point, USA? Yeah, what's the matter, you, eh? Yeah, I'll start a university. What's the matter, you? And what's your point, USA? Deb's on the fence with all of that stuff. The Nick thing. Marion, question of the day. So many conspiracy theories. I don't know which ones to believe or disbelieve. That's where I'm at. Deb's laughing at something hilarious. Oh, was that me? Go to school. Just an interesting voice. I couldn't help but trying to parrot. Ah, boy. Danette, she is right, though. Government and church should not be in the same bed. Well, the rainbow flags and the communist fists are as much religion to the leftists, and those are all over the schools. So if they're going to allow that, fair game is fair game then. I get your point, but I mean, all Christianity is saying is like, don't be jealous of your neighbor's shit. Don't kill him to take it. Don't lie. Like, who in the world could take offense to that? Nobody. We were absolutely founded on Christian principles. You don't necessarily have to believe that Jesus Christ is the true and the only God. You could. You're welcome to. But the 10 Commandments are like, don't steal, don't covet, don't lust after your neighbor's stuff. Don't harm them. Don't steal. There you go. Like, that's sort of the commandments. I don't know. Go to school. Don't make me listen to her again. Wait, what's she sound like?
Now Republicans are saying.
Now Republicans are saying.
Now Republicans are saying.
This is fun. I haven't heard a voice like this in a long time. Fancy hat, too.
We're going to ask schools.
We're going to ask schools.
We're going to ask schools to.
Schools.
Schools to.
Schools.
Schools to.
Schools.
Ask schools to be sure to post the 10 commandments on every school classroom wall and post a crucifix.
Post a crucifix.
And post a crucifix.
Uh-huh. And post a crucifix.
And post a crucifix on every classroom wall.
On every classroom wall.
Crucifix on every classroom wall.
It's classroom, but classroom to on every classroom wall.
Crucifix on every classroom wall. And now what is more anti-Semitic than that?
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 Classroom wall. And now what is more anti-Semitic than that?
Thank you, lady. I needed this moment. Deb says she sounds like Super Chicken. What's Super Chicken? I don't know what Super Chicken is. To the Super Coop Fred. Her voice is hilarious to me too. Go to school. I'd rather listen to Kermit's voice though. I'd rather listen to Kermit's voice though. All right, let's keep it moving. Oh, that was beautiful. I needed a moment like
Republicans
that.
are saying, we're going to ask schools.
They're going to ask schools.
We're going to ask schools to be.
Oh, that's what you're saying. Oh, that's what the comment was. I'm like, what are you talking about, Kenneth? Ask school? It does sound like she's saying, we're going to ask school. Cosmo Kramer, ass man.
We're going to ask schools to.
We're going to ask schools.
We're going to ask schools to.
Oh, that's great. Hey, where's our troll today? She's got to show up and get her $5, $10, $20, whatever. Show up, copy paste some stupid anti-Trump thing, take a screenshot, send it off to George Soros. Look, I trolled him again, fellers. I did it again. Pinky's up. We're going to ask schools. What is this, Deb? Deb off the top rope with a super chat. Appreciate you. Tip jar is alive and working. Thank you for the tip. I got. Ooh, there's a good idea. I need to record like a super chat or a Rumble Rant button, a tip jar song. And I should be able to go to it and click the button. It'll be me like with a quick song singing thank you. Hey, Jamie, put that down on our agenda for this month so we can talk about that. All right, thanks. By the way, I'm Jamie. I'll add it to my 1,000 other things I intend to do. We're going to ask school. Deb says, you and I need to record a duet in her voice. Harmony on crack. We're going to ask school. We're going to ask school. Thanks, Deb. Oh, that would be a great ringtone. I would love us to get all of these. Just imagine the amount of goofy inside jokes we'd have doing this show for all these millennia that we've been doing our show. All the many years. We're going to ask school. But I regress. No, you digress. You don't well, you could regress also. Speaking of regression, look at what Western Lensman is saying. Here's Elisa Slotkin, one of the seditious six, claiming Democrats made the illegal orders video because a slew of military personnel were coming to them with concerns for months.
I mean, we made that video, 3 weeks ago.
You see that face shoot? What a weird face. You know, we made that video. Normal face? Hmm. What a performative face. I really dislike this one. She is at the center of this corruption. She is at the top of the rot. She's been slotted. This Slocken has been slotted. We're going to ask you. Look at this stupid face. Wasn't that a Saturday Night Live skit where they like zoom in on that lady and she'd be going, She had normal face until right here. Well, I mean, if you call that normal. Like, okay, I got normal face. Here she's doing the Tim Allen. Cue the Home Improvement music. Where's that face? There it is. This is performance art. Overacting will tell you so much. They're selling it. They're overacting. Debbie Downer. Yeah, I think it was Debbie Downer. Yes, there's Debbie Downer right there. Alyssa Slotkin. As if. She has resting face. Is that a thing? Resting face? No, it's not like horse. Harumph. Such a dork.
I mean, we made that video, 3 weeks ago or whatever it was. Certainly not thinking that the president would go high and right, as we say at the Pentagon, on it like that.
High and right, as we say at the Pentagon. Look at this lazy eye dropping off to the side. Looking away from dead on. It's usually like you're thinking. I don't know if she's reading a script or if she's looking at someone. Oh, shit. Look at her. I'm telling you, guys, I can call this shit. Frank Luntz. King Kong ain't got shit on me. Frank Luntz ain't got shit on me. Training day. She's looking at something off camera. Because she's an actress. She's a stooge. She's a deep state puppet. She's one of the worst of the worst. She's been on the Daily Beast, which is another worst of the worst things. I'm nailing it on these interpersonal communication ticks and tells.
But because there was so many people coming to us who were...
So many... Now, wait a minute. Did I catch another thing?
But because there was so many people coming to us who were, on active duty, coming to us who were, on active...
Interesting. Now I'm Debbie Upper. No, that's Debbie Upper. Okay, so Deb from SAC is Debbie Upper. If I looked like her, I'd be scowling too. So watch what she does here. She delivers the line because she's a COINTEL pro, counterintelligence professional. She's, alphabet agencies, what have you. She gets her line. She's looking off camera to remember exactly where she's supposed to go here. She's like trying to buy milliseconds. That's sort of what's happening. She delivers her line and almost gives like a nodding of the head. But as soon as she completes her task, her subconscious shakes her head no because she just lied. Watch this. And I mean it. Everybody take a second. Just pause for 1 second. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? That she's looking off camera, which is a stalling tactic to try to think of your lie. She delivers her lie appropriately because she's practiced it enough times, and she wouldn't have risen to the ranks of one of the seditious six members without talent. But her subconscious, when she finishes her lie with the head nod, she instantly goes to a shaking of the head no, because it's incorrect. It's false. It's a lie. It's a falsehood. It's subterfuge. Hoodwinked, bamboozled. Watch it here. Here we go.
Because there was so many people coming to us who were, on active duty, who were recent veterans, family members. Because there was so many people coming to us who were, on active duty. Because there was so many people coming to us who were, on active duty. Because there was so many people coming to us who were, because there was so many people coming to us who were, on active duty.
She's such a liar.
Because there was so many people coming to us who were, on active duty, who were recent veterans, family members of service members, who were coming to us individually and saying two things. One, I'm concerned.
Ooh, there's another look off to the side. Like, what is she looking at? This is her tell. Unsolicited free consultation services here. Those eye darts are very telling.
I'm concerned, I'm going to be sent in uniform to an American city, like LA, Chicago, Memphis. And I'm going to be asked to do things I either don't think are legal or I'm not trained for. And that's, what do I do? And then this fall, it really turned and it became a lot of people who were involved in the operations around the Caribbean asking those same things. Hey, I'm not sure that I don't know if this is legal. I don't know if I'd be held accountable later after this administration. I can't get a straight answer about whether this is legal or not. What do you think we should do? So we were hearing that. There's a lot of juju in the system on that for months. And so that's why.
Sounds a little anti-Semitic to me.
There's a lot of juju in the system.
Whoa, Nick Fuentes. Whoa, Nick Fuentes. There's a lot of what? Easy, Tiger.
Hearing that. There's a lot of juju in the system on that. What do you think we should do? So we were hearing that. There's a lot of juju in the system on that for months. And so that's why we made the video, just restating the Uniform Code of Military Justice.
Mm-hmm. Good luck. Good luck. All right. Woke White Welsh says that Erica Kirk should be kicked to the curb. These two are maybe the worst women on earth. IHIP News. These two, I don't know where they came from. Oh, sorry. Let me switch the screen dynamic. I don't know where these two came from or what rock they slithered out from, but I wish they would go back. I don't know that I've played a clip of anything from them that hasn't left me shaking my head in disgust.
Substituting a relationship for a man with a substitution for the government is overtly an attack on poor people, and the racist connotations in that, considering she's abundantly aware of when you talk about women and poverty, that Black and brown women stick off the charts more so than white women. This is an intentional attack on poor women. And this is a dehumanization, all done in the name of her Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, which is the exact opposite of what the central character of the faith of Christianity preached against. So this is intentional weaponization of her gender and her faith. And she is a grifter. And just look at the costume changes. Look at the costume changes. Look at the affect and how she does that. It's wild. This woman should be kicked to the curb. She is an absolute grifter, just like Donald Trump and just like her unrepentant, racist, homophobic husband was. She does that. It's wild. This woman should be kicked to the curb. She is an absolute grifter, just like Donald Trump and just like her unrepentant, racist, homophobic husband was.
These chicks are vile.
They were attacked. On
Okay, here's a Democrat representative, Adam Smith. RNC Research put this out here. Take a listen.
But even worse than that, the notion is that cocaine still could have gotten to the United States, and they're treating that cocaine like it's a weapon. Basically, they're treating that image of those two people on that boat like a situation where, I don't know, you see a car bomb headed towards an embassy or something. It's struck. It seems like it's incapacitated, but is it incapacitated? We don't know. There's still a couple people there. Maybe they can complete the mission. Maybe they can get that bomb to the building and blow it up. And that, too, is kind of absurd. But even worse than that, the notion is that cocaine still could have gotten to the United States, and they're treating that cocaine like it's a weapon. Basically, they're treating that image of those two people on that boat like a situation where, I don't know, you see a car bomb headed towards an embassy or something.
Okay, so is it absurd that cocaine is a threat to the safety of the American people?
It's struck. It seems like it's incapacitated, but is it incapacitated? We don't know. There's still a couple people there. Maybe they can complete the mission. Maybe they can get that bomb to the building and blow it up. And that, too, is kind of absurd.
I think fentanyl is absolutely fentanyl is attempted murder. Cocaine is attempted good times. I've never done cocaine intentionally. If I could put that out there. So I know not of what I speak, but my understanding is that, it gets you revved up and you have people can get strung out on all sorts of things, but cocaine is not meth. I see the difference between before and after and meth is by far and then there's fentanyl, which is just rat poison. I don't know. I sort of agree with the guy. Is cocaine a threat to the safety of the American people? I mean, it is, but it's not. But it is, but it's not. Do you agree with this Democrat that it's absurd to think that cocaine is, how did he phrase it? That cocaine is a weapon. Do you think it's absurd to treat cocaine like a weapon? Do you agree or disagree with him? I'm a little mixed on that. Now, what is this? Wall Street Apes reports a student makes a conservative iPhone app for a class project. A teacher loses her mind and screams at the top of her lungs. Well, I'll let you see what she says. And it says public schools are indoctrination camps. Now, I don't know the context of this video, so let's take a watch here.
Donald Trump and your stupid ass is offensive to Somali immigrants and Muslims. If you don't submit a new project, I'm failing you. Whoa, did she just... Donald Trump and your stupid ass is offensive to Somali immigrants and Muslims. If you don't submit a new project, I'm failing you. Whoa, did she just...
Is this real or a skit?
Donald Trump and your stupid ass is offensive to Somali immigrants and Muslims.
Donald Trump and your stupid app is offensive to Somali immigrants and Muslims.
Stupid app is offensive to Somali immigrants and Muslims. If you don't submit a new project, I'm failing you. Whoa, did she just...
I don't know what this is. I'm gonna ask Grok. Is this a skit? I don't know. Oh, okay. Obviously AI, U.S. flag blocking the Sora logo. I think AI content needs a border. I think satire should have a green border. AI content should have a purple border. I think green satire for The Onion. Just kind of call it that. Okay, so that is a... I did ask the question. I'll undo the repost.
Having substitute.
Stephen Crowder here shares this clip from Pope Leo. Are you serious? Take a listen.
I know that in Europe there are many times fears that are present but oftentimes generated by people who are against immigration and trying to keep out people who may be from another country, another religion, another race.
Pause.
And
so I get it. The Pope is only infallible on issues of spirituality when speaking ex cathedra. And okay, whatever. He's an idiot on this.
Yes.
And here's what we need to do. Because think about this: the left, and he's buying the language of the left, which, of course, you need to know was designed to systemically destroy Christianity and make the government the state. So I don't know if he knows that he's doing this, but the left uses language like homophobia, right? Transphobia, xenophobia. They just put it on there so that they can stigmatize it. But let's look at phobias. I don't like this idea that all phobias are irrational, that all fears are irrational. I've even heard some pastors say, what's the opposite of fear? Or what's the opposite of love? Sorry. It's not hate, it's fear. That's not true at all. Do you fear your small child who can't swim falling into a pool? Is that a bad fear? Do you fear a black mamba snake if you're living, for example, on the plains of Africa, wherever they live, Indonesia, and they could get into your hut? That's not an irrational fear. You go hire some cats. I went down the rabbit hole watching like 25 hours of cats fighting snakes. They never lose. Fear in and of itself is not a bad thing. It's not an evil thing. It's a preservation mechanism.
Self-preservation, yeah.
And so he just goes, fear. Therefore, well, hold on a second. Is the fear warranted? Is it a valid fear? Are people afraid of these migrants because of what they bring with them? Is it correct to fear or logical? Or let's ask this, is it anti-biblical to fear huge swaths of immigrants who all follow the same ideology and prescription that tells them they have to force us to convert?
Thank you. I agree with Stephen 100% here. Danette was wise to point out that I said intentionally. I've told the story before. I did go to spring break, peak week, Cancun. I asked the bartender for the best shot he's got. And he said, propina. He said, give me a tip. And I said, all right. And I had a wristband that said I can drink everything under the sun, but you're still going to tip. So I put $5 down. And I've already paid for this. So like it's open tab, but I've been a bartender, so I know like you still tip. I put $5 down. He goes, more. I go, more? I'm already paid at the door. Like, what do you want? He goes, more. All right. I put another $5 down. He goes, one more. I go, one more. I go, all right. Remember my face. I'm going to come back here. I'll tip you up front. I go, this better be the best damn shot I've ever had. I'll tell the rest of that story later. No, I'll tell it. So he goes down and fiddles around on the bottom shelf and opens a thing and does a thing, and he's kind of doing, I can't really see, and he's kind of underneath, and he does a thing, and he comes back up, and then he pours a thing, and he's got a tall shot glass, like a slammer, and it's got a cocktail napkin on top, and he goes, shake it and shoot it. So I shake it and I shoot it. I say, thanks. Go hang out, go dancing for like 7, 8, 9 hours or something. And I don't dance. But I danced for like 6, 7, 8, 9 hours that day. I don't know if it was Molly or X or cocaine. I don't know what was in that. But cut to 6 months later, I'm bartending in my college town and talking to this guy. He's like, yeah, my roommate, he only works a couple months a year, and he just flies down to Cancun. He makes so much money in 2-3 months. Like that's all he needs for the whole year. Then he comes back. He goes, yeah, all the bartenders, they're small-time drug dealers down there. I go, huh? He goes, yeah, if you tip them enough, they spike your drink. I go, oh. No wonder I was at the rave dancing for 6 hours in a row. So I don't know what that was, but I've never intentionally. Yeah, Marion saying, well, yeah, if the cocaine, if it's laced with fentanyl, exactly. But then it would argue, like, if there's fentanyl laced strawberries, it's not strawberries, it's the fentanyl. Is there cocaine in Coca-Cola? Then I've done it. How young are you, Deb? What was it, like 100 years ago, 150 years ago, cocaine was in Coca-Cola? 70 years ago, something like that. I know. What was the app, though? On that fake AI video, I want to download that app if it triggers the libs. Anything that triggers the libs, I'm in. Kenneth, Delta 8, and you'll feel great. Marion, I'd rather listen to the lady in the green hat instead of that screaming lady. Deb, that's annoying. She's giving me a headache. Is the Pope a dope? It seems so. Yeah, fear keeps us alive. I agree. I don't know what all I asked the bartender for was a shot. A shot of something. All right. Here's a question, another question of the day. What would be the appropriate punishment for a stunt like this? They're calling it a stunt, but I would maybe call it attempted murder.
The momentarily reckless youth hurled a huge seat from the third floor of Westfield, nearly killing unaware shoppers below. The object fell 120 foot, narrowly missing those on the ground floor of the shopping center. This
attempted murder? I mean, you smack someone on their head and that head smashes into a corner, yeah, you're gone. Well, that's attempted murder, right? Or do you just let him out because you're not supposed to arrest people or something? I don't know the context of this, but it's not a harmless stunt.
Reckless youth hurled a huge seat from the third floor of Westfield, nearly killing unaware shoppers below.
That would have killed someone. Hits them in the back of their head, cracks their head open. All right. Well, here's a great compilation here. Elon is putting this out. John Stossel. Elon says, why is such a false history of slavery being taught in American schools? John Stossel put a segment out. It's important that we finally correct this and move along.
Original sin of slavery.
Today, Americans are taught when it comes to slavery, America was the worst.
The Atlantic slave trade from Africa to the Americas was different from any other type of...
Why is there music?
It didn't inherit slavery from anybody. We created it.
Wow. Tim Kaine, Democrat, Virginia. What's he wearing? Is that a scarf? What a goober.
When it comes to slavery, America was the worst.
The Atlantic slave trade from Africa type of slavery.
The United States didn't inherit slavery from anybody. We created it.
What a liar.
American slavery was worse because
the slaves were reduced to property. They were chattel property. No other system of slavery did that except American slavery.
What lies?
That's complete nonsense.
Wilfred Riley is a political science professor and author of Lies My Liberal Teacher Told Me.
Generational slavery, like if you're the son of a slave, you're a slave, that was extraordinarily common. Slavery around the world was slavery.
Books like this, Unfinished Nation.
Yeah.
Slaves in Africa were kept unfree only for a fixed term.
No, is the short answer. Most of the slaves taken by these sort of players would be either kept as slaves for their entire life or, more likely, sold to the whites and the Arabs in 2 years.
Today, partly thanks to the New York Times 1619 Project,
Students are taught that America's slavery was unlike anything that existed before.
We're the worst society ever. We've done things that no one else has ever done. And sometimes there's nothing wrong with acknowledging your historical mistakes. I mean, I'm Black, Irish, a bit Native American, at least per the family lore. I mean, those are three peoples that have experienced a great deal historically. Nothing wrong with acknowledging that. But it's extremely odd to focus only on the negatives of your society and to exaggerate those.
Americans are taught that slavers caught people in Africa and shipped them here. But few were taught that most slaves were not shipped to the United States.
Between 10.7 million and 12 million slaves from Africa went to the New World. We got a little under 400,000.
Under 400,000 out of 10 million.
The extreme focus on slavery in the United States, why did that happen? One reason is that a lot of Black people survived here. Slavery was harsh, but it's a lot less harsh than clearing the Brazilian jungle.
All right, but American Blacks are at a disadvantage. They have less capital, financial and educational capital. What's the harm in pointing out how abusive white people were?
The harm is that pointing out how abusive white people were is not going to get Black Americans any more capital.
But it makes people angry, and it keeps Democrats in power by creating demons out of people today that did nothing wrong back then. How convenient.
Most of the problems of the modern Black community don't have anything to do with historical ethnic conflict 160 years ago.
The Great Society asked not how much, but how good.
Riley says most of the problems began when welfare began.
Crime in the Black community, every time I've tried to break this out, increased about 800% between, say, 1963 and 1993. Whoa. Racism didn't increase between 1960 and the modern era. You're looking at the impacts of the Great Society, the welfare programs.
Riley argues it's better to teach the truth, that almost every society had slavery. The Aztecs, the Persians, Egyptians, Greeks, Romans, Vikings, and most of all, the Arab world.
The Arabs were probably history's premier slave traders.
Sometimes they captured poor whites from Slavic countries.
The Muslims, many of whom were dark-skinned or even black, took so many blonde slaves out of this region that they gave the word slave to the global slave population.
The word slave from the white Slavics.
Many slaves were forced into harems.
Sexual slavery was very much a part of slavery. Like if your group was defeated in war, the men would probably just be killed or they'd be sold as farmhands. The women would often be sold as harem girls or prostitutes.
More than 1 million Europeans were enslaved, but Muslim slave traders took more people from Africa.
The Arabs targeting Africa took out about 17 million people.
The British and then the Americans were the rare people who moved to abolish slavery.
So yeah, the British Navy, in a story almost no one now knows, sank something like 1,600 slave ships. It freed 150,000 people that were enslaved at the time.
Because the Brits objected for moral reasons.
Yeah, they'd had enough of it.
Saudi Arabia only abolished the slave trade relatively recently.
Well, that's another inconvenient fact, right?
The Global Slavery Index estimates that even now, although slavery is officially illegal, there are more than 700,000 slaves in Saudi Arabia.
Are you aware of this?
Where there were no Westerners, you'd have a lot of slavery for a long time. And you do.
American slavery was horrible, but it wasn't unique. Our culture would be healthier if we learned about that. And schools dwelling on America's evils hasn't helped Americans get over them. Gallup polls show that after
hyperfixation, you could call it dwelling, you could call it weaponization or hyperfixation, and it's all intentional to destroy the morale of this country.
Schools started focusing on oppression. Race relations got worse.
The idea of generational...
That's the Obama doctrine.
Slavery, the idea of slave trading, none of that was unique to America. And another thing, you don't need radicalism to critique the worst excesses of an existing system. All you need is incrementalism and honesty.
In a few weeks, I'll post a video about another of Riley's myths, the claim that before Columbus, the native people were kind stewards of the environment.
And not a warring people. I know every rock and tree and creature has a life, a spirit, has a name. It says. Yeah, it was a warring people. Human sacrifice, massive warfare. Oh, I've studied the Incas, the Aztecs, the Mayas, etc. Lake Leon says the U.S. government has 300 million slaves. Kenneth, the Disconians had slaves to the rhythm. Disconians. Disco Stew doesn't advertise. Hey. So check out our show yesterday. This is Shadur Shines, Notre Dame Wines. NFL and NCAA playoff picture clarifies. Bob France joins the Unhappy Hour. Check out yesterday's program right there. Jasmine Crockett kicks off her Texas Senate bid. Y'all. Huh? What? They used to telling us what? Can someone decipher this? What is she saying? We used to telling us what I can't do. I don't know what she's trying to accomplish here with that statement. Listen up real loud. Listen up real loud? Is that a thing? Listen up real loud? I got a hunch it's not going to spell check it. I guess I got a hunch it's not going to correct it for grammar. Crockett's crew. We gonna get this thing done. Okay. Wow. Obama, you're making a valid point. All right. Dr. Malouf shows this clip from Ilhan Omar. Take a watch. No, I don't know what's... The translation says, my answer to Somalians was... that the U.S. government will only do what Somalians in the U.S. tell them to do. They will do what we want and nothing else. They must follow our orders, and that is how we will safeguard the interest of Somalia. That's an invasion. That's an overthrow. We Somalians must have that confidence in ourselves that we call for the shots in the U.S. We live in the U.S., pay taxes in the U.S., and have a real voice. The U.S. is a country where one of your daughters, myself, is in Congress to represent your interests, not to represent America. Oh, doggone it. Wrong screen size. There we go. To represent your interest. That sounds treasonous. For as long as I am in the U.S. Congress, Somalia will never be in danger. Its waters, the Indian Ocean, will not be stolen by Ethiopia or others. The U.S. would not dare to support anyone against Somalia to steal our land and ocean. Sleep in comfort knowing I am here to protect the interests of Somalia from inside the U.S. system. That's a sleeper cell. That's a terrorist. I'm sorry, maybe not necessarily a terrorist. That's an invader. That's someone subverting the United States Constitution. Your job is not to defend foreign nations. Your job is solely, explicitly, completely to represent America, not a foreign nation. Now, that's if this translation is accurate by Dr. Malouf. Martin says this right here should be a cause for her immediate removal from Congress. If your allegiance is not to the United States of America and its Constitution, you have no business being in Congress. Full stop, remove her. Hollywood Handle tells us that Avatar Fire and Ash has a $400 million budget. Polymath says this is going to make $2 billion, and no one you know will ever talk about seeing it or quote a single line of dialogue. Kind of like the last one, right? Or is this the third one? I'm losing track. The Cat Chronicles. Any government that gave the Taliban $45 million cash today. I'm sorry, our government did. Meanwhile, my husband, who has stage 4 metastatic adenocarcinoma, has had to continue working to maintain insurance and to pay our bills. With insurance since June, we paid out $38,000 for treatments. Tim Burchett says, according to the State Department, it's actually $5 billion to the Taliban, according to Tim Burchett. Wow. What does this say? Is there and probably in your 20s, people will tell you you can't do anything about replacement migration. It's very important that you get them a flight home. Naomi Siebt showing that the UK or that Europe is resisting this overthrow. Here's your reminder from C3 that the Democrats got Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson confirmed to a lifetime appointment on the most important court in the Republic. And the GOP can't even get a U.S. attorney confirmed?
Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
Can I provide a definition?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah.
I can't.
You can't?
Not in this context.
So
I'm not a biologist.
I'm not a biologist, she says. Can't define a woman. Dan Bongino put out, it's been a year, and it's not over. He says FBI is keeping Americans safe with 1,900 plus kilograms of fentanyl seized, and that's up 31%. That's enough to end 127 million Americans. 190,000 kilograms of cocaine seized, up 9%. All categories increasing year over year. Protecting kids, 6,000 children located and rescued, up 22%. That's good. 1,700 child predators arrested, up 10%. That's good. 300 plus human traffickers arrested, up 15%. That's good. 764 arrests and 764 trafficking cases, up 18%. That's good. Violent crime and public safety, 30,000 total arrests. That's a 100% increase from 2024. $25,000 violent crime arrests. That's up 100%. 100 plus MS-13 members and 200 TDA members taken off the streets. 1,800 gangs and criminal enterprises disrupted. That's a 210% increase. 6,000 illegal weapons seized, up 5%. 10 most wanted captures for this year. Yeah, that's what I say. Go after the top 10, whether it's in the protests, the riots. Who are the top 10 people that are causing problems? Go after them. And they got 4 of the top 10. I don't know if they usually get 4 out of 10, but that's good, I think. Espionage arrests up 35%, and NVE arrests are up 490%. All right. Attorney General Keith Ellison on what Somalis contributed to Minnesota. They gave us sambusas, he said. That's a triangle-shaped pastry filled with spicy minced meat or spicy vegetables. He seemed genuinely pleased with it. It can be delicious, but is it worth $1 billion? Asks Ayan Hersey Ali. Kami Mamdani appoints a convicted armed robber to a public safety transition team. Clown World says it's like watching a Batman movie. Mamdani appoints a convicted armed robber to a public safety transition team. 8 players from a Philadelphia youth football team participating in a national tournament in Florida arrested for stealing $2,000 in merchandise from Dick's Sporting Goods for their team. That's not good. Naomi Siept says German Christmas markets have been conquered. What are we watching here? There's music, so I can't play it. These people are at the Christmas tree at the Christmas market. I don't know. Is this intimidation? Celebration? Don't know the context. Germanistan must be freed, says Naomi. Our Lord is Jesus Christ. I mean, that looks like a lit up tree in the middle there. I don't know. Thomas Massey asks this question. Why does this Jocelyn Ballantyne still have a job in real Donald Trump and Pam Bondi's Department of Justice? And why is she working on the pipe bomb case after what she did in the past? Liz Harrington says the same people who tried to frame President Trump for January 6th are running the pipe bomber case? That seems like a problem. Take a listen.
So a lot of interesting things going on, especially with the people who are prosecuting the case. That would be Jocelyn Ballantyne, who Enrique Tarrio has words to say about, and I know all about her. She was one of the people who tried to force a false confession out of Enrique Tarrio. She presented him with papers saying, if you link President Trump to the Proud Boys through Roger Stone and you sign this paper here, then you can go home today, basically was the deal that was presented to Enrique Tarrio before trial, literally trying to get him to frame President Trump in exchange for his freedom. So this is the type of person that's now interviewing the pipe bomber, the alleged pipe bomber, in that
Why would you let that person anywhere? Why aren't they fired?
4-hour quote-unquote confession with her, from what I understand, was not an attorney present, and an FBI agent by the name of Hannick, who also tried to get some members of the Proud Boys and did get some members of the Proud Boys to commit perjury, according to them. That would be Jeremy Pertino. He said that these agents pretty much told him what to say. He committed perjury, and it was all because he was afraid he would go to jail for a very long time. So these are the same people that are handling this pipe bomb case right now, which obviously leads to a lot of people who really follow this to be suspicious of that confession. Emerald.
I was skeptical before I found this out.
I was skeptical before I found this out.
I was skeptical before I found this out. I had no idea that Ballantyne was involved with that. Obviously, you and I have talked about her on this show before as it relates to those, allegedly false confessions. That's extremely troubling.
Oh, yeah. President Trump just said that the right to repair is coming to our farmers. Right to repair. John Deere's been bending over our farmers and giving them the raw end of the deal for decades, says Gunther Eagleman. And he says, this is phenomenally huge. Take a listen.
Because of the tariffs, this is possible. The other thing I'd like to add before going to Scott, and I think it's very important, we're going to also give the tractor companies, John Deere and all of the companies that make the equipment, we're going to take off a lot of the environmental restrictions that they have on machinery. It's ridiculous. I know because I buy a lot of that machinery for different things. We have a lot of big clubs with, hundreds, thousands of acres. And I buy a lot of stuff, and you buy it, it's got so much equipment on it for the environmental, it doesn't do anything, except it makes the equipment much more expensive. and much more complicated to work, and it's not as good as the old days. And we're going to take a lot of that
Lighting is weird in this room. Makeup looks bad.
nonsense off of the equipment, which is going to reduce, and we're going to do it, and we're going to say you're going to reduce the prices. We're not going to do it, and they're not going to reduce. They're going to have to reduce their prices because farming equipment has gotten too expensive. And a lot of the reason is because they put these environmental excesses on the equipment, which don't do a damn thing except make it complicated, make it impractical. And you really have to be, in many cases, you need about 185 IQ to turn on a lawnmower now. So we're going to take that off, that crap off that they put on Biden mostly. And we're going to take that off. So that's going to make that'll bring down the equipment prices.
All right, well, that sounds good. Aviva Klumpus says, in a surprise to nobody, Hamas stole and hid infant formula so they could claim Gazan children were being starved. According to Ahmed Fuad Akhadib, during the worst of the days of the hunger crisis in Gaza in the past 6 months, Hamas deliberately hid literal tons of infant formula, nutritional Okay, it's a long post. Anyway, that's the accusation. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. Can't believe anything in a war. The foo here says, to anyone scoffing about Jasmine Crockett's chances, don't. I just watched my state elect a man who openly texted about shooting Republicans and wishing for our children to expire. Sorry to suffer and die in our arms. Like you, I assume Democrats have a soul, but they do not. They do not. Naomi says, if the U.S. had not fought for independence and established the greatest constitution in history, I would not have the chance to apply for asylum and escape the USSR. Mike Lee says, we fought and won wars to escape European tyranny. Now we need to stop subsidizing it. Yeah, the fight to save Europe is on. It is amongst us. Gateway Pundit says, Georgia state Democrat representative arrested and charged with defrauding federal government and making false statements. Representative Mana Abdi, Democrat, Somalia, says housing in America is worse than what they had in her home country. Take a good look at what the average Somalian lives in. I loathe these types of people, says Todd Starnes, all of them. They came to our country and then spit in our faces. Send all of the ingrates back to their home countries. Here's Representative Mana Abdi.
Anything. So coming into the States, everything from the snow to, the housing, the homes that we were all of a sudden occupying, everything was a shock, honestly. Every day was something new, and I'm like, oh my God, this is just getting worse. Yeah,
So what state did you guys land, first of all?
Kansas
City.
Of all places, yeah. It was like a boot camp for Maine, basically.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it's just like, right, like, anyone who lives in Maine knows Maine and has ever visited Kansas, they will know what I'm talking about. It's just a lot to deal with as a person of color, honestly, or a black person, anything.
Ungrateful, ingrateful, ungrateful. Here's Glenn Beck pleading with the GOP to stop screwing things up.
Since we're in the holiday mood today, I thought I would write a poem for the GOP. And I mean this deeply and sincerely. It is a salute to the GOP. Want to hear it? 'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the right, not a plan could be found that was honest or tight. The base hung their stockings with dwindling care in hopes that a real GOP would soon be there. The voters were nestled with thoughts growing bleak, while leadership mumbled the same lines each week. And Mama in her MAGA and I in my cap had just settled our hopes for another year's crap. When out on the house floor there rose such a clatter, I sprang from my desk to see what was the matter. Away to C-SPAN I flew like a flash, just in time to see Congress set fire to our cash. When what to my wondering eyes did appear but a miniature bill wrapped in fraudulent cheer. With a leadership driver so slippery and bland, I knew in a moment they had no real plan. More rapid than progressives, their excuses all came. They whistled and shrugged, and they shifted the blame. Now tax cuts, now budgets, now spending galore. On omnibus, on bailouts, on debt, here's some more. To the edge of disaster, let the treasury fall. Now charge away, charge away, charge away all. Like money that flies into DC's furnace flies, they burn through our future with pork-stuffed supplies. So up to the debt ceiling skyward it flew, with a sleigh full of nonsense and excuses too. And then, in a twinkling, I heard on the hill the whispers of justice that gave me a chill. Indictments, investigations, I leaned in to browse. Are they really cleaning house? No, they were spying on you and your spouse. The CIA, FBI, and DOJ, too, had wrapped secret programs in media view. Their web spun like garland through the bureau and press, a tinsel of treachery, a deep state Christmas mess. But the GOP stood there, all timid and meek, not drawing a line, not even a squeak, not at Nazis, those socialists vile. Yes, socialist kids, read a book once in a while. They claim to love markets, the founders, the laws, yet cave every time when confronted with flaws. Their words are like snowflakes that melt when they land. No principle strong, no backbone at hand. I spoke not a word, but went straight to my list. A party that means what it says. Did I miss? A repeal of Obamacare. That isn't pretend. A budget that cuts more than taxes, my friends. I signed it with hope, though the odds seemed quite slim. Constitutional principles. Teach them to them. And if you've got space in your sleigh for a treat, wrap corrupt officials for prison so neat. Santa sprang to his sleigh with a cynical grin. Kid, you're asking for miracles. No one's voted in. But I heard him exclaim as he flew out of sight, Merry Christmas to all. And to the GOP, get it frickin' right.
Get it
Just
right.
maybe once.
Please get it right. You can't trust the GOP. You can't rely on them. Their batting average sucks. The only thing worse than their side is the Democrat side. GOP Senator John Curtis. This is a GOP guy?
Control anybody but me, right?
Republican from Utah.
And the best thing I can do is set my example. And I think all of us need to wake up every morning, look in the mirror and say, what are we doing? What am I doing specifically today to make this country a better country, to make all of our immigrants feel more welcome?
Your job is to make immigrants feel welcome instead of protect this nation and protect Americans? Your priorities are upside down.
What we've always had. And I think if more of us would do that, it would matter less what individuals said.
Right. But as you know, he's not just an individual. He's the president of the United States, calling an entire community garbage.
So control.
Calling the scammers garbage. Difference. She's a liar. Hey, UK, are you okay? No. Former Premier League footballer Joey Barton sentenced to a 6-month prison term, suspended for 18 months. For posting offensive and racially aggravated material on X. Take a listen to this.
And will you stand up? Given the gravity, persistence and impact of this offending, I have no doubt that neither a fine alone nor a community order can be justified, and that the custody threshold is crossed. There will be concurrent terms of imprisonment for each of these associated offences, the sentences for each reflecting your overall offending and recognising the principle of totality. However, applying the imposition guideline and carrying out the required balancing exercise, I'm satisfied that it's not necessary for those custodial terms to be served immediately. In light of the steps you have taken, I am persuaded that there is some prospect of rehabilitation, that an immediate custodial sentence is not required to protect either the public or the victims, and that a suspended sentence order may itself operate as a deterrent against any future offending by you.
200 hours of unpaid work, according to X Alerts. Substantial costs subject to restraining orders. Judge says freedom of expression does not extend to targeted posts that causing distress, they're claiming is a crime. They've lost their freedom of speech.
And feeling numb.
Wall Street Apes here shares this with us. A Michigan Muslim woman speaks out after being allegedly traumatized when police made her remove her hijab.
Traumatized and feeling numb and detached.
40-year-old Helene Michelle not happy that Ferndale police made her remove her hijab, her religious head covering, while booking her after a traffic stop on June 21st of this year.
Yeah, it's called taking a picture. We can't take a picture of a Halloween costume.
I'm Muslim, so it's very important that I wear.
Yeah, religious garb. I mean, you wouldn't arrest the Pope and let him keep the hats on, or you wouldn't arrest a lumberjack in the American Northwest with one of those ski masks on and book them with their ski mask on. It does. There's no religious ability to remain in your costume at all times. To get a photograph, you have to actually photograph the subject. Also, water is wet, the sky is blue, and men shouldn't be competing against women in sports. This is not a controversial issue.
Hijab is like a form of worship for me. Like I'm constantly in worship to my creator.
And now she wants Ferndale police to pay her $250,000.
Oh, do you now? Good for you. You want $250,000. That's...
But our client's rights were violated by having her picture taken.
My client's rights were violated by having her picture taken. Right. You have the right to not have your picture taken. Attorneys like this should be sued themselves for wasting everybody's time.
Client's rights were violated.
For wasting everybody's time. My client's rights were violated.
$250,000.
But our client's rights were violated by...
My client's rights were violated.
$1,000.
But our client's rights were violated.
$1,000.
But our client's rights were violated by having her picture taken without her hijab.
In a statement, Ferndale police...
No, it's called a picture. It's not a right. You don't have the right to be a ghost. Invisible to photographs or covered up like a ghost at Halloween. That's not a thing.
They say that Miss Bowe was stopped on 8 Mile for having a fraudulent license plate during the stop.
Boy, fraudulent license plate is it now?
She admitted to having a taser, but when officers searched her car, she actually had a stun gun, which is illegal in Michigan. She was arrested.
Self-defense is not illegal. I'm going to back her on that. Look at that. I back her. You got a right to self-defense. You have the right to bear arms. And a taser? Yeah, you got the right for that. I back her.
Arrested and taken to the Ferndale Police Department.
We traumatized and...
Yeah, anyway, he wants $250,000 because you got a booking photo. No thanks. Request denied. That's what we would say. No way. Capcom is revitalizing Mega Man, Ace Attorney, and Devil May Cry with new projects. All you gamers out there, be aware of that. Benny Johnson put this out. President Trump has announced $12 billion from tariff revenue It's going to help a certain segment of America. Take a look.
Delighted to announce this afternoon that the United States will be taking a small portion of the hundreds of billions of dollars we receive in tariffs. We are making a lot of money from countries that took advantage of us for years. They took advantage of us like nobody's ever seen. Our deficits are way down because of tariffs. I guess because of the election, because without the election you wouldn't have tariffs. You'd be sitting here losing your shirt. But we're taking in billions. We're really taking in trillions of dollars, if you think about it, Scott, because the real number is, when you think of all the money being poured into the country for new auto plants and all of the other things, AI. So what we're doing is we're taking a relatively small portion of that, and we're going to be giving and providing it to the farmers in economic assistance. And we love our farmers, and as you know, the farmers like me, because based on voting trends, you could call it voting trends or anything else, but they're great people. They're the backbone of our country. So we're going to use that money to provide $12 billion in economic assistance to American farmers. $12 billion is a lot of money, Meryl. What do you think? Peanuts for you, though, right? Peanuts. She's a farmer of rice. This
make more sense if she was a farmer of peanuts.
Yeah, right? Peanuts. She's a farmer of rice. This relief will provide much needed certainty to farmers as they get this year's harvest to market and look ahead to next year's crops, and it'll help them continue their efforts to lower food prices for American families.
All right, so that's happening. All right, so here's the conversation that people are talking about. Nick Fuentes is introducing himself to the world on a press junket. Charlie Kirk is gone, and now here you go.
I think they're bad.
Who do you think commits the vast majority of the mass shootings?
I'm sure it's white people.
Right. So how do you feel about that?
I think that white people do more antisocial violence. I think black people participate in more gang violence. I think that's the difference.
What's the difference to the victims?
There's no difference to the victim, but it's a different kind of crime, and it's a different proportion also. Do you know what percentage of white people are school shooters?
I know that the vast majority of mass shootings in schools in America this century were perpetrated by young white men. And I'm just,
what proportion
I'm curious.
What proportion?
I'm curious whether your advice would be to people who have kids in these schools.
Wait, is my mic working? What proportion?
Should they avoid white people at school? Should people with the kids at school avoid young white men at school?
No.
Okay.
Do you know what per capita means? Do you know proportionality? There are more black people proportionally that engage in violent crime or are involved in gangs, especially in these major cities, than there are white people that are school shooters compared to the entire white population. And everybody understands that.
Two-thirds of mass shootings at school perpetrated by white people.
But what proportion of white men commit school shootings? That's the question.
I've just told you. It's 60-65% of school shootings by white people.
Good grief. Like, is he that daft, or is he just choosing not to answer the question? Proportionality. Out of all the white students, what percentage of them? He's I think disingenuously not answering the question here.
You're telling me what proportion of school shootings are committed by white people. I'm saying what proportion of white people have committed school shootings. Are you playing dumb, or are you just not that smart?
What difference does that make to the children lying dead on the ground?
See, now you want to jump on the victims. The difference is you're asking, would you fear white people or black people? And that's the difference. The difference is in terms
what I'm saying to you is, by your logic, if we now have agreed that the vast majority of mass shootings in schools are committed by white people and predominantly young white men, then presumably your advice would be to avoid young white men because they perpetrate these massacres. But it won't be because...
Yeah, this is a predetermined line of attack that they sorted out in their production meeting, you can tell.
They're white, right?
So
right?
Are you playing...
No, it's not right. He's being facetious.
Because
he's being coy. He's playing coy.
They're white, right?
Right.
So are you playing dumb or are you actually dumb?
Maybe
It's
I'm
about
dumb.
proportionality.
Maybe I'm dumb.
You are because you're, well, I don't think you are dumb. I think you're smart actually, but you're deliberately avoiding per capita. And everybody knows that's the difference. What proportion of white men are school shooters? It's probably 0.00001%. What proportion of black men have committed violent crimes? It's probably like 5%. I don't know what it is off the top of my head, but it's very high. And I would add to that, even as it concerns schools, why do you think parents pay a super high property tax to live in a school district where there's white people? Because they know that if they go to the black school, it's going to be the Bloods and the Crips. It's going to be gangs. It's going to be, you talk about school shootings. Nobody talks about all the school shootings that are committed by gangbangers in and around the school and all the other violence that's associated with that. I mean, these schools in the south side of Chicago, it's just not livable.
I have an answer for you, Nick. So the proportion of the population who carry out mass shootings is actually the same for black and white.
For white people, the proportion of
the proportion
again,
of the population.
are you hearing it? No.
See,
What's
I think the trouble with your
proportion?
statistics is a lot of them don't bear much scrutiny. We have a bunch of fact checkers checking all this in real time because you do have a tendency to just come out with a lot of old baloney. And when you say,
okay,
well, it's true. And when you're confronted with
what's the
reality,
figure?
you don't like it.
What's the figure? What proportion of white people have committed school shootings? With white people as the denominator and white people that have committed school shootings as the numerator, what's that percentage?
For both black and whites, the proportion of the population who carry out mass shootings generally is about the same.
No, not mass shootings. He's talking about violent crime, though. He's answering a different question.
No. Tell me the number, and then
the only focus of your attention is the black shootings, the black crime. You don't want to live around black people. You want to avoid black people. You don't want interracial marriages or relationships that may produce black people. And yet, when I point out to you that there are many parts of crime in America where actually there's a majority of white people that perpetrate them, you don't care. You don't have any interest in that. It doesn't exercise your mind. Maybe because
no one's buying this. This
kids.
argument lost. No one is buying this. Everybody understands per capita, and people can even see what you race ahead and say, well, we're comparing the proportion of white and black school shooters. I said, no, compare the proportion of school shooters that are white versus violent criminals that are black, because that was the basis of the monologue, is that you're very likely, if you encounter black people or a young black man in the city, that you're going to be the victim of a violent crime, of a robbery, a mugging, a car theft, a carjacking, or a murder. That's the difference, and it's about proportionality. And everybody sees past that because we all live in reality. You want to talk about product of your environment. People that live in New York, Chicago, LA, we live in reality. We live in this environment, and we see what it's like. And the threat, the danger, in terms of probability, it's not even comparable. And I would say this, to your point, if you're in a high school and truly, if you see a white person who looks like a little autistic, he's got the SSRI stare and he reaches for a backpack, people joke and say, run. Similarly, if you see a jalopy pulling up with a bunch of black people in it and they got their pants around the ankles, you're going to run also. And I'm saying the same thing. The difference is, the latter happens much more often. It's much more common. In Chicago, there's like 10,000 carjackings and car thefts every day. It's in the thousands. It happens all the time. How many mass shootings committed by autistic SSRI white people? I don't even know. I mean, it's probably in the single digits in the last decade in this city. That's the difference, and everybody knows that. But you're really just trying to carry water for liberal ideology. It's an ideological position.
No.
Andrew Tate says Pierce tricks don't work on Nick Fuentes because he realized the same thing that he did, that he realized long ago. I double down on everything I say and I repeat it, and I don't give a fork. I said fork. Look at that. So playing things back just makes it hilarious. Nick is the same. You can never win against the brave. This is kind of funny. Nick Fuentes put this out. He said, live with Pierce Morgan at 11 a.m. Central Time on YouTube. Looking forward to this fair interview. So he uses this blurry picture of old Piers Morgan in some AI version of Nick Fuentes to illustrate the point. Look, I don't care, how angry you want to be at Nick Fuentes for things he said. That's a funny post right there. Just like as bad as Jasmine Crockett is, you have to admit that she's effective. Somehow she gets support and people, her work is effective somehow. A little surprising, but here's Grimaldus says, here's where Piers Morgan pressing Nick Fuentes about a clip about blacks, saying that blacks should be imprisoned.
This is where you talk about Jews, women, and blacks. Let's just take a listen.
They're always coming up with, no, it's not the Jews. No, it's not women. No, it's not blacks. It's actually really complicated. No, it fucking isn't at all. Jews are running society. Women need to shut the fuck up. Blacks need to be imprisoned for the most part. And we would live in paradise. It's that simple.
Okay. Would you like to clarify what you meant there?
That's all true. That's 100% true. Everything I said in that clip is true.
Including that blacks need to be imprisoned for the most part.
Yeah. Yes.
This is what.
What do you think about Nick Fuentes? Put it in the comments. What do you think? What do you think about Nick Fuentes? What do you think about Piers Morgan, for that matter? Joni Ernst here. Mother, grandmother, combat veteran, U.S. Senator from, where's she at? Iowa. Uncovered new potential fraud in the 8A program across the federal government. In light of this new evidence, I'm asking the Trump admin to completely halt the program to conduct a thorough audit. James O'Keefe says, thank you, Senator. O'Keefe Media's investigation exposed exactly this kind of abuse, and we're grateful you're pushing for accountability. Whistleblowers keep coming forward, and a full audit is overdue. President Trump talking about taking out the boats.
So every boat we knock out of the water, every boat, we save 25,000 American lives. That was a boat loaded up with drugs. I saw the video. They were trying to turn the boat back to where it could float. And we didn't want to see that because that boat was loaded up with drugs just like everything else. But every boat we shoot down, and I don't know if you know, we're 92 or 94% down in drugs coming in by the sea. And we're trying to find who are the 6%. Because I don't know, people aren't liking to drive boats right now loaded up with drugs. But every single, think of that, every single boat we shoot out, on average, we save 25,000 American lives. Do you feel okay about that, Cord?
Keep us safe.
Okay, I know my man. What about you, Milo? Are you okay with that?
I'm totally fine with that.
So every boat we knock out of the water,
That's the commander-in-chief going after Venezuela. That's a 13-minute clip about Trump's national security strategy isn't trying to colonize Europe or whatever crap the media claims. It's a much-needed course correction, saying simply, don't screw with us and we won't screw with you. Finally, the president is saying what the rest of America understands. You can check that out. Tina Peters has 9 new pages from her attorney, Peter Tickton, requesting a presidential pardon for her complying with federal election records retention law that the state of Colorado has countermanded and criminalized to hide their own federal election crimes. Patrick Burns says, here's the historic letter to the president. Revelations galore tell a story everyone from John Ratcliffe to Judge Nichols fought to keep from the public. Every member of the D.C. bench has ruled harshly against the J6er and has vested interest in burying this. Yeah, Tina Peters needs to be released. All she did was stand up for election integrity. And if there's no victim, the intent was to find out if the election was on the up and up. Giving this old, sick woman a death sentence for the rest of her life in a cage. I don't see that she had any ill will or scam really at all. She was just trying to do her job. Emerald Robinson says that President Trump has enough evidence to sign an executive order designating America's voting machines as weapons created by a hostile foreign government. They must all be confiscated ASAP. We have the code, we have the data, we have the whistleblowers, says Emerald Robinson. C3 says, if you think the fraud in Minnesota is bad, wait till you see the fraud in Illinois and the fraud in California and New York and Oregon and Maryland and Washington and every Democrat-run state in America. Elon says California, New York, and Illinois have vastly, he spelled this wrong, vastly highly fraud, and is aided and abetted by the state. Breitbart says an illegal alien accused of leaving a Maryland woman in critical condition and fleeing the scene following a head-on collision. That should have never happened. Susie says this couple from Somalia walked into the Cinnabon to buy food, and the employees started making fun of the woman's hijab. So they took out their phone and started recording. Then she called them the N-word and admitted to being a racist. No. They're missing the part where she was being sexually harassed. We covered this yesterday. Steven Crowder chimes in, and I don't know what set this off. But at the beginning of that video, she says, you think you're better by sexualizing yourself? Excuse me? Sexualizing myself. Oh, let's take a look at the GoFundMe on this person. The Give, Send, Go is now up to $135,000. Stephen Crowder says the viral Cinnabon clip is meant to look like bad white woman, innocent Somali couple. The bigger issue is why these confrontations are showing up in cities across America in the first place. This says more about importing incompatible third world cultures than it does about American racism, and that's just the truth. Agree or disagree with Stephen Crowder? CNN, here's Tom Homan discussing Somali immigration fraud.
I've talked to several state and local officials who've said that the number of Somali immigrants who are living in the U.S. illegally there is very, very small, and that this is about scaring people more than it is about arresting criminals. So what have you actually accomplished with this operation so far in Minnesota?
Well, we're just starting, and I disagree with the fact when people, even we don't know how many illegal Somalis there are, because remember, in the last 4 years in Joe Biden, there's over 2 million gotaways, known gotaways, people caught on video, drone traffic or sensor traffic that crossed the border illegally and weren't apprehended, weren't vetted. And so, what President Trump's doing is fixing the last 4 years of the open border where millions of people are released in this country, many we don't know who they are. So we're going to do the same thing in the Twin Cities we've done across the nation. We're going to focus on those illegal alien public safety threats in these cities. And if they weren't a sanctuary city, many of these people would be apprehended in the safety and security of the county jail. But because they're a sanctuary city, we got to send more resources there to flood the zone, because it takes a whole team to find somebody in the community where it would take one agent to arrest one bad guy in the county jail. So this is exactly what President Trump promised American people were going to do, and that's what we're doing.
That is what they are doing. How many are there? 2 million gotaways, at least. Laura Ingram says, exclusive. Ilhan Omar did marry her brother and said she would do what she had to do to get him papers to keep him in the U.S., reveals Somali community leader per Daily Mail. So the Daily Mail is reporting that. Wow. If true, can we remove this person? Daily Mail says teenage asylum seekers are a 15-year-old schoolgirl in a park after she filmed herself being dragged away in footage so horrifying it would cause a riot. I guess there is footage. I don't want to watch this. Ew. Dragged her into the bushes. Gross. Gross, 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 gross. Throw the book at him. Don't abuse the girls, people. Gateway Pundit reports that Biden's FBI knew that Brian Cole was the J6 pipe bomber in April of 2021. Inevitable West says X today became the #1 news app in every single European Union nation. Europe won't go down without a fight. Good for Elon. Of course, check out our show. Shador shines, Notre Dame wines, NFL NCAA playoff picture clarifies. Bob France joins the unhappy hour. Check out the show. Did I play this exact clip? Yeah. Economists, PhD scientists, transportation officials should operate beyond presidential reach, she says. Matt Van Swole is waiting for someone to help him understand why dozens of donations were made in his name to Act Blue Democrat candidates in Kansas, when I've never been to Kansas nor ever knowingly donated to any political candidate in my entire life. What is going on? Fraud is what's going on. Money laundering is what's going on. Remember, Charlie Kirk wasn't eliminated because he spoke. He was eliminated because our children were listening. Stephen Crowder chimed in. He said that Pierce Morgan is a liberal at heart, so he spent the whole interview trying to gotcha his way through identity politics on a guy who already rejects the premise. Maybe this is a different clip?
That's all true. That's 100% true.
Oh, that's actually the end of the previous clip I played. All right.
Everything I said in that clip is true.
Including that blacks need to be imprisoned for the most part.
Yeah. Yes.
But all of them?
He didn't say all of them.
No, for the most part.
What does the most part mean? What percentage of American blacks would you like to see in prison?
Whatever the percentages of the murderers. I think it's 1 in 20 black men will commit a murder in their lifetime. So maybe
they're valid answers.
5%.
Oh, so you're talking about black people who murder people?
Criminals.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But you didn't say that.
That's
You
the
just
crime
said
problem.
blacks need to be imprisoned for the most part. You didn't clarify that you were talking about black murderers.
Right. No, you're right. That's a good addition to that. That's a great point.
Do you think it's funny?
Yeah, I do. I think it's hilarious. I think it's totally true.
Do you think a black American would find it funny? You think that blacks should be imprisoned for the most part?
Blacks are my biggest fans. I get high fives all the time. They say, Nick Fuentes, I love your show. They agree with me. And you want to know why? Here's the difference. Black people are the most victimized by other black people. You think black people want to live in the hood and the ghetto and get shot all the time? That's what happens in the south side of Chicago. You should come here. I'll take you there. We could go to Garfield Park.
My son went to Chicago University for a year, actually, several years ago.
Good irrelevant fact.
That's a bubble. You think you're in Chicago and Hyde Park? You don't know Chicago. Go a little bit west. See what it's like over there. And I'll tell you, black people agree with me because they're tired of it too. And maybe not most of them, but a lot of them agree with what I say about that. Because
everybody should be tired of the violence. I just this defense of criminal culture makes no sense. Regardless of what you look like, criminal culture is just it's a poison.
Too is Pierce is Nick knows that that's going to be taken.
Yeah,
and then it's going to give him an opportunity to clarify, and it's going to seem so straightforward, so self-evident that I'm not saying just imprison random black people. It was in the context of crime, right? He knows that, and he's hoping for that opportunity. That's why he does. That's what a lot of people do, right? You have the bumper sticker, and then you have the full show. There are some other areas where, that's why we wanted to play the clips, not 4 seconds, but in context.
Right, the full ones.
So that we could actually get to and figure out if there was there were a few times where Nick said, you know what, I didn't mean it that way. I would take that back.
Yeah.
He wouldn't take that back. And by the way, he doesn't need to take that back. That's not one of those comments he needs to take back when you take it in context. There are some where we see actual difference. The problem is Pierce is a liberal at heart. He is a leftist at heart, and so he's playing identity politics with a guy who has already rejected it, and so is his fan base. And so when people say, oh, you're going to... Well, yeah, this is the kind of interview that amplifies him because one person seems sensible, and it's not Pierce Morgan.
There you go. The rabbit hole says the issue with leftists is that they lose more sleep when someone says the N-word in a Cinnabon than when innocent people are killed for no reason. Remember this happened the same week at Charlie Kirk, and remember how this made you feel? I have never in my life witnessed, never, not once, not a single time have I witnessed a white man slit the throat of a black woman on a subway train. I've never read that story. I've never heard that story. I've sure never watched it on video where the white guy walks away saying, I got her. I got that black girl. Never in my life have I seen it. And this is one of the most traumatizing videos you'll ever see. The attacks on white Americans are absolutely through the roof, insane. And Elon points out here, where's the outrage? How does it make sense? Well, the rabbit hole says the issue with leftists is that they lose more sleep when someone says a word than when innocent people are eliminated for no reason. Elon says murder is much worse than words, as we all know. Did I have anything else I wanted to share today? Oh, Larry Elder shared this. This is interesting. The same leftists who celebrate Luigi Mangioni's murder of the greedy healthcare insurance company CEO, the same leftists want to permanently extend the Obamacare subsidies to continue enriching the greedy healthcare insurance companies. Huh? Make that make sense. Byron York wrote this. Read, why is autism exploding? Welfare fraud is one reason. Minnesota's example shows that lucrative behavioral therapy is a magnet for scam artists. More toxicity in Minneapolis. This Texas DPS traffic stop on an 18-wheeler took a wild turn when the driver, John David Amaya, didn't have a commercial license, they figured out, and he had 23 illegal aliens in the truck's sleeping quarters. Arrested, hit with 23 counts of human smuggling. The group was made up of illegal aliens from Nicaragua, Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Mexico.
Get more out. Okay. Ponte tus manos en tus cabezas, ¿ok? Ahorita vamos a sacar.
Thank you for that. Richard Grinnell says even the left-wing media admits that the Kennedy Center has shifted so that everyone is now welcome. The center used to be very unwelcoming to conservatives, families, and corporations looking for common sense arts programming. Today, everyone's welcomed. We unite to enjoy the great performers, not to do politics. Good. The Rasmussen report says Clerk Peters' copy of data was lawful. This is Tina Peters. And she was entitled to image and preserve the 2020 election data pursuant to the contract Dominion signed with her as the clerk of Mesa County. Moreover, Clerk Peters was required to preserve the evidence of the election for 22 months pursuant to federal law 52 U.S.C. 20701. Accusation here from Tina Peters, whistleblower of fallen Navy SEAL. This is an application for a pardon, and it says Dominion and its employees operated an illegal operation on our soil, which was supported and controlled by foreign actors. The Colorado Secretary of State, Jenna Griswold, aided and abetted Dominion and foreign countries in targeting Mesa County Clerk Tina Peters. Clerk Peters' copy of data was lawful, entitled, I just read that. Her loan copy of the 2020 Colorado election is essential, explaining below, current investigations, etc. So I think it's time to free Tina Peters. Whether that accusation is correct or not, I don't know. But she has every right to preserve that data and show us. The European Union is now fining Hungary €1 million a day because they don't let in enough Muslim and African illegal alien invaders. Jonathan Pallison says we should go back to just having a free trade zone in Europe and not all this undemocratic bureaucracy. Elon says dissolve the European Union and return power to the people. That might be the only way. And I think that's the extent of what I wanted to share with you today. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I think 5 o'clock today, we're going to go live and do Strictly Football. I believe that's the game plan, so stay tuned. We'll be back on the other side. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. Hit like, hit subscribe. Remember that we are on Venmo, Cash App, and PayPal. Our tip jars are open. The guitar case is wide open if you want to throw some quarters in. We have Rumble rants and Super Chats, as well as Patreon, YouTube, and Rumble subscriptions. That just you set it up monthly and you're a part of that community forever. And I really appreciate everybody who is and everybody who might be. Please share the show with a friend. And yeah, we're going to hit reset, come back around the other side and get some of that other stuff done. So thank you for being here. On behalf of everybody at the TNAM network, I appreciate you. I love you. And we will talk to you again soon. Take care, everybody. Peace.
Your guide to the truth. TheNewAmericanMedia.com.